Warrior Lore. Chapter 463, Safely Free. Chapter 463, Safely Free. After the Nine Serenity's soul-devouring flame had merged with his host's soul, he was able to detect the real realm of the others on seeing them. God Realm warriors were no exception, as even they couldn't avoid his sensing. Zoyufeng and Situjia were covered in the bamboo hat with a veil. This made the others focus on Chao Jilan and Panja. Anyway, no one was too attentive. Currently, those two had taken off their hats and revealed their appearance. When they came in Shi Yan's line of sight, he knew their real realms at once. Zuyufeng and Situ Jia looked quite thin with dark faces, which gave people the impression that their schemes were really heavy. Especially Situ Jia, and Shi Yan didn't know when he saw this man, yet he felt familiar as if he had met him before. But then, he recognized that he had never contacted this person before and had no impression of his face. Song Lan from Panglai Holy Land had the cultivation base of Third Sky of Sky Realm. Shi Yan didn't even consider this person. From this point, the Chao family and the Martial Spirit Palace were one level stronger than Panglai Holy Land. This time, the Chao family and the Martial Spirit Palace had sent Spirit Realm warriors, but the Panglai Holy Land had just a Sky Realm warrior. Obviously, they were lower than the Chao family and the Martial Spirit Palace. Shi Yan also knew that the three strongest forces of the Endless Sea were the Chaos, the Yangs, and the Martial Spirit Palace, and they didn't have only one Spirit Realm warrior. The Yang family was the same. He had heard from Yang Zhua that besides Yang Tian Emperor, the Yangs had two other Spirit Realm warriors. However, only Yang Qingdi knew where they were. Yang Zhua guessed that the two Spirit Realm warriors of the Yang family were still in the fourth demon area. Situ Jia looked at him with a cold, dark face, then gave him a fiendish grin. Shi Yan's eyebrows slammed together as he felt this guy was somehow familiar, and he had sensed his aura from somewhere before. But at this moment, he couldn't figure it out. As you are all the warriors from the Endless Sea, I suppose you've known each other, right? Do you want me to introduce a little bit here? Yin Hui smiled, shifted his look between them, and continued coldly, people that come here from the other places are our guests. If you guys have any resentment, you shouldn't resolve it within the Silver Stone Fort. I don't care if you deal with each other outside the Silver Stone Fort. You should solve your human race's matters somewhere else. Hotshots from the Sea Tribes burst out laughing as they heard that. Yin Hui knew the situation that happened above the water surface. He seemed to know that the other forces from everywhere didn't get along well with the Yang family. Now, he had called for Chao Jilan's group, and Shi Yan understood his purpose. Yin Hui regretted that he couldn't make the two sides battle against each other. It'd be better if one of them lost. Hope you are well, Shi Yan sneered inside, but his face was still calm. He nodded to Chao Jilan and Panja. Long time no see. Chao Jilan curled her lips with a cold face. Yeah, long time no see. You're undersea. No wonder why people up there have to search for you with great efforts. It's my bad I've made you guys worried, Shi Yan said. Unfortunately, you've put forth many things, but I've survived well. As long as I'm alive, we will have chances to solve this grudge in the future. Something flared up in Chao Jilan's beautiful eyes as she nodded deliberately. Panja also felt embarrassed. He forced a smile to Shi Yan and clasped his hands. We've met again. Seeing you are still alive, I think many people feel worried. Sigh. Honestly, I don't want to be your enemy. Too bad it's the situation, and I have no choice. Shi Yan was dazed and didn't understand his attitude. Warrior Lore, no matter what happened, you saved me in the chasm battlefield. Although your deeds were despicable when you confined our souls, we got out of there alive. Panja sighed. I can't control the situation of the Endless Sea. Here's my advice for you. Leave. Otherwise, you won't have a day living in peace. Shi Yan frowned, but he didn't say anything. The Sea Tribe's warriors, Yin Hui and crew, kept a smiling face, watching them without saying anything. It was just like they were watching a play, waiting for the two sides to start the war. Zhongli Dun of the Martial Spirit Palace wore an arrogant face. You are that Shi Yan? With the difficult situation of your Yang family, do you still think that you can borrow the force from the Sea Tribes to do something up there? Do you think it's possible? Zhongli Dun always looked down on Shi Yan. Before Shi Yin had arrived the Endless Sea, he had been the top warrior on the combat list, and everybody from every force admired him. However, after Shi Yin got back from the chasm battlefield, he had subdued Mangu, showing his tremendous cultivation base, and that he had also hurt Imochita severely. So many rumors about Shi Yin were spread out. Anyone who knew Shi Yan's stories considered him a new generation hero that no one could deny. He would oppress all the young ages of the Endless Sea, including the one who had topped the combat list, Zhongli Dun. Shi Yin appeared across the sky and had covered his presence, as the other had become the peerless young warrior that many people from the Endless Sea had to recognize. This man even had the competence to provoke the previous generations. This was a hard hit to Zhongli Dun. At this moment, as he was meeting Shi Yin undersea, Zhongli Dun's attitude couldn't be better. Although the Yang family doesn't appear in the Endless Sea, they do live well, and the competence of the family is well preserved. Of course, Shi Yin wouldn't give him face. He sneered. Well, we aren't like some other forces. First, they would take the chance to collaborate with every force they could reach. Well, they thought they could satisfy their long-cherished wishes, but the demon dwellers and the dark dwellers had spanked their butts. Their power is draining, and the dark dwellers and the demon dwellers are torturing them every day. A brutal look shot out from Zhongli Dun's eyes. He coldly looked at Shi Yin and said, "Nonsense. The demon dwellers in the demon area had eradicated the Yang family. You really think that people would believe in your lies?" Shi Yin burst out laughing. He shook his head, wore a disdainful look on his face, but didn't regard the other. "Forgive me for speaking frankly." Zhongli Dun clasped his hands, looking at Yin Hui. "If you guys cooperate with the Yang family, I think the human race will not approve it. It could be said that the Yang family is the common enemy of the whole Endless Sea. They aren't on the same side with the demon dwellers and the dark dwellers either. Once you choose to collaborate with the Yangs, you'll face a formidable pressure you have never had. Our sea tribes only love the beauty of the ocean. We don't like killing." Yin Hui laughed. "Today is the banquet of crew. If you guys want to drink, we'll welcome you. But if you want to discuss things we aren't interested in, please cut it off. Come, let's toast." Yin Hui didn't want to expose his real purpose. No matter it was the Chaos, the martial spirit palace, or the Yangs, he pretended that he wasn't interested in anyone. Having heard Yin Hui say that, Zhongli Dun and Chao Zhilan were disappointed. However, they didn't continue the talk, as they wanted to wait until the party finished. They would find Yin Hui to talk him into this. As Shi Yin didn't come here to create the relationship with the Silver Shark clan, he didn't bother with Yin Hui's words, just relaxed and drank. He looked breezily, as if he didn't want to discuss any important matter. "This man's free and easy." Hai Luo chuckled, then picked up her jade glass, walking over to Shi Yin like a beautiful siren. "I can see you don't really want to work with the Silver Shark clan. I also heard that the Yang family doesn't live well on land. What do you want?" "I don't want anything. I'm okay with my life now." Shi Yin smiled, not intending to discuss any business with Hai Luo, as he was drinking and chatting about some interesting rumors in the Endless Sea. Hai Luo had heard a lot about Shi Yin. With her curiosity about his personality, she stayed close to him and asked him many questions. Shi Yin then talked about the dark magnetic noxious mist, the powers of the earth and firmament, the beasts, the exotic land of the place, and the floating island and mountain. Hai Luo was amazed. She asked more questions as her curiosity was growing. The two were talking with low tone. Shi Yin did it on purpose so the other sea tribes members surrounding them couldn't hear the content of his story. Chao Zhilan pouted her lips while wearing a bitter face. As she was watching Hai Luo and Shi Yin, her beautiful eyes flared up with jealousy. She felt annoyed seeing Shi Yin and Hai Luo close to each other. Yin Hui's look was faint. Sometimes, he shifted to Shi Yin just like he was watching over something silently. This was a big feast, and most of the Sea Tribe's members had grown their interest in Shi Yin. Sometimes, some hotshots of the Sea Tribes would come over and have a toast with him. In the recent years, the Yang family had helped the Sea Tribes. If the strong warriors from the Sea Tribes had any good feeling towards the humans, it would be only for the members of the Yang family. Previously, Shi Yin had performed his invincible power in the barren city, which raised the curiosity among the Sea Tribe's members. Moreover, he was one of the Yangs. That's why the Sea Tribe's members would proactively come and offer him drinks. No one cared about Chao Zhilan, Panja, and Zhongli Dun. Although these three people represented the influential forces in the Endless Sea, the Sea Tribe's members didn't give them any face by drinking with them. Chao Zhilan's group was as if they were sitting on pins and needles. They suddenly felt that they somehow were inharmonious with the rest of the people enjoying the banquet. Many members of the Sea Tribes acted like they didn't see this group of people. Quite on the contrary, Shi Yan's table was bustling with noise and excitement. Not only the beauties, but also the hotshots from the Sea Tribes came there. The party was finally coming to an end, but no member of the Sea Tribes visited Chao Zhilan's table. The banquet ended. 6 people of Chao Zhilan's group stood up, looking at Yin Hui with expectation. They seemed to want to say something, but still hesitated. Yin Hui smiled, waving his hand. Come here. The faces of Chao Zhilan's group brightened. They hurried to go with Yin Hui to a secret chamber behind the stage to discuss something important. Shi Yin, hang in there. We'll talk later. Yin Hui regarded him, smiled, then led the group of 6 to another place. The 6 people of Chao Zhilan and Panja's group followed Yin Hui. However, after half an hour, they all came out of the place. They were frowning, not looking happy at all. It seemed they didn't have a good discussion with Yin Hui. After the 6 of them had gotten out of the place, they regarded Shi Yin coldly and left Crew's house. They seemed to leave the Silver Stone Castle, too. Yin Hui called out for Shi Yin, who then finally got up. A guard of the Silver Shark clan led him to another secret chamber. Only Yin Hui was in the room. Do you know what they asked us? Yin Hui smiled, but it didn't look like a smile. No, I don't. Shi Yin shook his head and gave the other a cold answer. I don't care, either. It's related to your Yang family a bit, Yin Hui proactively explained. They are willing to give up the Kiara Sea. As long as our Sea Tribes agree to deal with the Dark Dwellers, the Kiara Sea will belong to us. Haha. Seems like the Dark Dwellers and the Demon Dwellers have subdued people of the Endless Sea quite badly. It's been many years, and the human race hasn't had a good relationship with our Sea Tribes. They don't even want us to come up to the surface. This time will become a precedence. They are even prepared to give us the Kiara Sea. Don't you think it's interesting? Shi Yan's face was stiff. The Kiara Sea used to belong to the Yang family. After the Yangs had left that sea area, the Demon Dwellers had taken over the area and then handed over to the Dark Dwellers. It could be said that the area had undergone strenuous events with bleeding wounds. Unexpectedly, the Chaos, the Martial Spirit Palace, and the Penglai Holy Land came here this time to offer the Yang family's territory to the Sea Tribes. Basically, they didn't care about the Yang family. Seems like their situation is not really optimistic. Shi Yin frowned, snorted, and said, Nevertheless, Kiara Sea belongs to the Yangs, even if it's controlled by the Dark Dwellers now. In the future, we, the Yang family, will take it back. Whoever claims the Kiara Sea will become the Yang family's enemy. As I heard from the Black Flood Dragon clan, you wanted the Yangs to cooperate with the Sea Tribes? Yin Hui said with a solemn face. I had that thought, but it would be impossible with Precursor Nu Lang's attitude. Shi Yin didn't want to conceal. What your Sea Tribes want is not to join the battle. You're waiting for the war to come to the most brutal point, in which both sides have to be wounded. And then you will take over the Endless Sea, the Demon area, and the Underworld at once. This is your true great plan. Yin Hui's eyes suddenly brightened. Since you just want to sit there and watch the fight, no matter how much that group of 6 tries to persuade you, it's useless. I don't have to worry at all. Shi Yin smiled. Precursor Nu Lang's a man who embraces ambitions. As the opportunity that happens once in 1,000 years is in front of your eyes, nobody will believe that you won't take the chance. So why did you come here? Yin Hui contemplated for a while before frowning and asking him, Seems like you are not here to persuade me, right? Of course not. Shi Yin shook his head. I want to ask for the location of the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard. You're the patriarch of the Silver Shark clan, so you should know where it is, right? You want the treasure of the Lofty Dragon? Yin Hui sneered all of a sudden. Over thousands of years, countless strong warriors from amongst us have intruded that place, but no one could get out alive. Even Nu Lang doesn't dare to get in because he couldn't be sure. You brat really think that using external forces to defeat Bao Wan is enough for you to enter the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard? If you know the place, just tell me. You don't need to care about the other stuff. Shi Yin didn't put his ridicule in mind. Even if there's no one to show me the way, it's just a matter of time before I find out that dragon graveyard. Don't you agree? If you want to die, I don't care. Yin Hui mused for a while, then threw him a crystal. This crystal can show you the way to the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard. Just follow the crystal's guidance, and you can get to that forbidden area at the bottom of the sea. Anyway, I don't think you can get out of here alive. Oh. Those 6 people are waiting for you outside the Silver Stone Fort perhaps. I don't know if you can escape their hands. Even if you can leave this place safely, it's your dead end entering the forbidden area of the Antiquity Lofty Dragon. As an appreciation to the Yang family's attitude toward our sea tribes throughout many years, I'll give you a piece of advice. Stay away from that graveyard. It's not the place you human can dig for benefits. Thanks in advance. Shi Yin ignored Yin Hui's advice, clasped his hands to greet, then left Kru's house. Patriarch. Kru regarded his leader after Shi Yin had left. I denied the offer from those 6 people, said Yin Hui coldly. Kru nodded. I know Patriarch will not appreciate the small benefit. I heard that Shi Yin had visited the Black Flood Dragon Clan. Then, Precursor Nu Lang declared that the Black Flood Dragon Clan would not interfere with the Yang's business in the Barren City. Everything stays the same. So, does Shi Yin have, with Precursor Nu Lang? Do you think it's possible? Laughed Yin Hui. Kru was dazed, but then he also smiled. Impossible? I also feel confused. Why does this brat want to visit the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard? It's the forbidden area of the seabed. Thousands of years have passed by, but no one ever came out of there alive. Even I just dare to stay outside. I have never actually entered the center of the tomb. Yin Hui frowned. That kid isn't stupid. It's obvious that he knows how dangerous that place is, but he still wants to get in there. Why? Is he confident that he can get out of there alive? How could it be? Kru let out a light sigh and shook his head continuously. Even Precursor Nu Lang, who has already entered the 3rd sky of Spirit Realm, doesn't dare to enter the place. He's just a junior at the Sky Realm. What skills does he have? I overheard from his talk to Hai Luo that he has visited the dark magnetic noxious mist. It's also a mystery, and we can't measure it. He has survived that place. Does it mean he has something special? Did he just boast it? I doubt that. Yin Hui shook his head. He confirmed that he did visit the dark magnetic noxious mist. We have no doubt about this point. The dark magnetic noxious mist is really mysterious, and we don't know what it's like if we haven't been there. He's able to get out from there, which means he should have something great. This kid isn't an ordinary young man. He has the power of a warrior at the spirit realm when he's just at the sky realm. We can't consider him with common sense. So, what do you mean? I will go to the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard to see if he does enter that place. I do want to know whether or not this brat was just boasting about himself. Well, we don't know if he could survive the other 6 people waiting for him out there. They can't challenge him. Anyway, even Bao Ku and Bao Wan have to be afraid of him. I think if this kid put forth all of his abilities, he could escape from that group of 6. Yeah, I think it shouldn't be a problem. This man is more excellent than Yang Tian Emperor that year. We should treat him with care. It would be better. Such good ideas from our patriarch. Chapter 464. Look, you are not strong enough. Chapter 464. Look, you are not strong enough. Outside the Silver Stone Fort, the group of 6, including Chao Zhilan, Zhou Yufeng, Zhong Lidun, and Situ Jia were waiting in silence. 2 Spirit Realm hotshots, 2 Sky Realm warriors, plus the outstanding talents whose cultivation base was a little bit lower, Chao Zhilan and Panja. This powerful group could silence many warriors in the Endless Sea and make them not dare to go against their wishes. Although they were waiting for Shi Yin, this group of 6 didn't look relaxed at all. wearing a serious face like they were going to encounter their archenemy. The name Shi Yin had soon been spread through the endless sea. His brutal fight against Emo Ta, Qing Ming, the Queen of Heaven and the Emperor of Earth, and all the other types of experience made those people recognize that even if Shi Yan's realm weren't high, he was really dangerous. Without the assistance of Zhou Yufeng and Situ Jie, they wouldn't have the guts to stay there. We should be careful later on, Chao Zhilan said with a low voice and a serious face. Seems like his realm's been increasing every day very fast. Last time when he was in the Endless Sea, he was at the Nirvana realm. But now, he's gone straight up to the Sky realm. At that time, he had caused a lot of trouble to Qing Ming and the other two. As he's at the Sky realm now, it should be really tough to deal with him. Don't worry, miss. Zhou Yufeng arched his eyebrows and smiled coldly. The Queen of Heaven and the Emperor of Earth are also in the Spirit realm, but they only have the power of the Spirit realm warriors when they fight together. Situ Ji here and I have our powers from ascetic cultivation. We're different from the Queen of Heaven and the Emperor of Earth. If we join our force to attack him, even if that kid has some secret method to increase his ability, we still can make him die in this seabed. Situ Ji smiled. When we were on the Sun Island, I had tried. Although that kid can borrow external force, it's hard to change his real realm. The soul in his sea of consciousness is estimated to be one level lower than ours. If we launch attacks in that aspect, we'll surely trouble him and not let him escape. Right, Zhongli Dun nodded. It's hard to change the sea of consciousness. If we use soul attacks and intrude his sea of consciousness instantly, he absolutely won't be able to bear it. If we can attack fast enough, I think he wouldn't have time to borrow external force. We can then break his sea of consciousness, and that will destroy his soul. His skills in using soul power aren't typical. We still need to be very careful. Panja shook his head and forced a smile. That year when we were in the Chasm battlefield, he had learned many secret soul techniques from the demonic Sound Clan. His understanding towards the soul aspect is much more profound than that of normal people. Sigh, I was a victim. His knowledge and soul power is really mysterious. You shouldn't be careless. The 6 of us are waiting for him here. I think he doesn't dare to get out of the Silver Stone Fort. Zhongli Dun sneered. If he isn't an idiot, he'll stay inside the Silver Stone Fort. As we have to give the Silver Shark clan face, we won't touch him. I believe he won't go out. Not sure. Chao Zhilan's beautiful eyes twinkled as she let out a light sigh. This man has more guts than anyone else. I guess he will go out for sure. You guys have overestimated him, disdained Zhongli Dun. Here he comes. Situ Jie's eyes flared up with cold intent. He couldn't help but shout. He even comes from the main gate. This brat's extremely arrogant. Seems like he doesn't put us in his eyes. He knows we would wait for him here, but he still dares to come. Well, this person doesn't care about death or life. He isn't scared. Perhaps. Panja's face also looked odd. From the main gate of the Silver Stone Fort came a young man strolling through the empty area. It looked like he didn't know that some persons were waiting for him. Behind him, some strong warriors of the sea tribes were watching the situation there. Everyone knew there would be a great fight. Even the 2 spirit realm of the Silver Shark clan Yin Hui and crew were standing on a high building in the fort, watching in that general direction. Hai Luo was standing next to crew, listening to her precursor's discussion. Her beautiful eyes were twinkling like shiny pearls, and her succulent lips were moving emotionally. Members of the sea tribes were observing them both publicly and privately from a distance. This kid's haughty. Crew shook his head and frowned. This is the first time I've met such an extremely arrogant fellow. We will have a good show to watch for sure. If he can breezily go out, I think he'll have his part in the future of the Endless Sea. Yin Hui appraised with a serious face. The future of this young fellow can't be foreseen. If he has enough time, he will be like Chao Qiu Dao, Yang Tian Emperor, or Yang Yi Tian. Perhaps, he will be even more excellent than those people. Patriarch, I didn't think that you've estimated him that highly. Crew was surprised. According to the information I have, when Yang Tian Emperor was at his age, he had only the cultivation base at Earth Realm. Even when Yang Tian Emperor was at his Sky Realm, I don't think he could be that arrogant under the attentive watch of 2 Spirit Realm warriors. In Hui's face was solemn. Wait and see. If he can get out of here safely, the future era will belong to him. Cruz and Hai Luo's eyes suddenly brightened. It's my bad I let you wait for so long. Outside the silver stone fort, Shi Yin smiled then sighed. Unfortunately, you just wasted your time. If you want to deal with me, I think you should let Chao Qiu Dao and Yang Yitian do it themselves. Zhou Yinfeng and Situ Jie aren't enough. This boy talks big. Zhou Yufeng snorted and gave a cold smile. What kind of calculation you've done? You're just a Sky Realm warrior. Do you think that's enough to ask our masters to play with you? Today, I'll show you that the real situation of the Endless Sea isn't what you've seen. Even if you have infinite potential, you can't do much. Shi Yin wore a mocking face, shook his head and said coldly, I'm waiting to see what you can do to me. The three strange energies of the ice-cold flame, the Holy Spirit God, and the earth flame had mixed together in the profound chi vortex, creating a torrential power, as strong as a river. A chain of bloodthirsty thoughts couldn't help rising up in his heart. Milky fog emitted from the pores in his entire body, forming something like a thick cocoon covering his body completely. A brutal and evil aura, as cold as ice, silently permeated the area. The sea water around him was like it was forced to stay away from him by an invisible force. Come out, he called out to the blood vein ring, and a mysterious giant sword flew out. At the same time, the king of demon insects and the devouring gold silkworm also turned into two different beams of light and parked on his shoulders separately. They opened their small eyes wider to watch the group of Zhou Yufeng. As the people of the sea tribes sensed the evil power that burst out from Shi Yin, they had their faces changed in awe. In front of the main gate of the silver stone fort, a young girl from the Jade Clam clan covered her mouth in shock as her eyes were panic-stricken. Previously, she had taunted Shi Yin. She wasn't eligible to join Cruz's banquet, so after the party was over, she found someone she knew at the gate on the way home. However, she didn't have time to think much as she suddenly found an earth-shaking energy burst out from Shi Yin. Under that formidable fluctuating energy, she found herself so small, feeling frustrated even with a single glance at Shi Yin. The difference between their realms was too vast. At this moment, she knew how subtle Shi Yin was. Such a dangerous hotshot, he just needed to use a finger to savage her. She recalled the time she had disrespected him and felt scared, silently retreating into the city as she worried that Shi Yin would find her. His name isn't in vain. Inside the silver stone fort, Cruz's pupils shrank. He suddenly nodded with a surprised face. So, you know why I've appreciated him, right? In Hui smiled. Cruz nodded. If this young man keeps growing up this way, he will be a peerless warrior in the Endless Sea. Sigh, I finally know why the Patriarch has valued him that much. Yang Tian Emperor has good fortune as the Yang family can have such an outstanding fellow. Never underestimate the Yangs. In Hui's face became somber. Nu Lang used to say that in the Endless Sea, Yang Tian Emperor's the toughest. If you haven't seen him die with your own eyes, he will live forever. Our sea tribes are staying calm because we're afraid that Yang Tian Emperor will come back at some point. The Yangs are really extreme, exclaimed Cruz. Don't give him the chance to prepare. Zhong Lidun suddenly shouted. Numerous soul consciousness strands spread out from Situ Jie's head like tentacles, directly aiming for Shi Yan's sea of consciousness. Zhou Yufeng didn't dare to hesitate and also condensed his soul consciousness into a silver beam that naked eye could observe, slashing down at Shi Yin from the sky. They could vaguely see a tiny electric current inside the silver beam. Soul consciousness substantializing. Moreover, there was the lightning power inside his soul consciousness. This was clearly a sophisticated soul technique. Zhou Yufeng's eyes were as bright as stars when his vitality, qi, and spirit became one. He had gathered and condensed numerous beams of soul consciousness, controlled an executing god electric spear that had the lightning power to destroy Shi Yan's soul within this attack. The 9 firmament lightning was the nemesis of all souls. Once the lightning power struck the sea of consciousness, touching the soul, even spirit realm warriors wouldn't be able to bear it. This executing god lightning spear was Zhou Yufeng's strongest killing skill. With this skill, he had been swaggering in the endless seer for many years. Even Chao Chiu Dao had once said to have gotten hurt by the executing god lightning spear. When the strike was struck out, strong warriors from the sea tribes in the Silver Stone Fort, who could use their soul consciousness to sense, had their faces discolored. Shi Yin was the target. All of a sudden, under the attentive eyes, he closed his eyes. Inside his sea of consciousness, the host soul opened its third eye. The nine serenities devouring soul flame released bizarre flames, spreading out in his sea of consciousness while Situ Jie's and Zhou Yufeng's soul strikes were attacking his sea of consciousness vehemently. Bunches of flames stormed over, just like they could sense the smell of blood, burning off the soul energy that had just intruded Shi Yan's sea of consciousness. SSSSS. Under the burning flame of the nine serenities devouring soul flame, the soul tentacles from Situ Jie and the executing god lightning spear of Zhou Yufeng had turned into nothingness. Situ Jie and Zhou Yufeng paled as blood gushed out from their mouth because their soul consciousness had been hurt severely. I told you, you're not strong enough. Shi Yin grinned then said, Situ Jie, I know who you are. Your soul had intruded our place in the Sun Island. I remembered it when you just released your soul consciousness. Haha, good enough. It's time to take revenge. Chapter 465. Vicious Qi Overflows Firmament. Chapter 465. Vicious Qi Overflows Firmament. Shi Yan's real realm was at the sky realm, so certain flaws existed in his soul consciousness and soul. Without the assistance of the nine serenity soul-devouring flame in his host soul, facing the soul intrusion of a real spirit realm warrior, his sea of consciousness would explode, and his soul would collapse. However, the nine serenity's soul-devouring flame had made up for this inferiority. This eccentric firmament flame could devour any kind of soul energy. Soul energies which dared to enter his sea of consciousness had no chance to escape danger as long as they had touched the fire of the nine serenity's soul-devouring flame, all getting burned down. As he was sure about that, he dared to risk his life against spirit realm warriors, and he wasn't afraid of being soul-attacked. Situ Jie and Zhou Yufeng had underestimated him. They didn't know that the dormant nine serenity's soul-devouring flame was staying in his host soul. Thus, they had rushed to contact him and hurt their soul consciousness. The damage in the soul consciousness was severe to a warrior, as he couldn't recover it with only gathering qi from heaven and earth. Situ Jie and Zhou Yufeng sprayed out blood. They were looking at Shi Yin with pale faces, which were filled with fear and resentment. Inside the Silver Stone Fort, Yin Hui and crew from the Silver Stone Fort also changed their faces. They were looking at each other in a daze, as they could see the shock in the other's eyes. The soul attack that Situ Jie and Zhou Yufeng had released, and the soul surging that they could feel was all clear. They asked themselves, and realized that if they were Shi Yin, it would be tough for them to deal with these great soul techniques. No need to mention counterattack. But Shi Yin did that. A Sky Realm warrior could dissolve the killing soul techniques of two Spirit Realm warriors, and also hurt their soul consciousness severely. This event made Yin Hui and crew confused if they had seen everything clear enough. When they looked at Shi Yin, their complexion became more serious. They didn't know what kind of heaven-shaking techniques he had. Go. When the two Spirit Realm warriors spat out blood, Shi Yan's face was still calm as he shouted. The king of demon insects and the devouring gold silkworm on his shoulders flew out, striking towards Situ Jie and Zhou Yufeng. When the king of demon insects took off, an incredibly evil surging energy started to ripple from it, rolling towards Situ Jie and Zhou Yufeng just like waves. The devouring gold silkworm was radiating gold beams. As a demonic beast of the metal class, it understood well how to use attacks to defend. After it had sucked the immortal blood, it seemed to have advanced in some aspect. It was now releasing the golden silk in the water, which were straight, small, and sharp as a needle, that could penetrate all kind of imprisonments. When the king of demon insects and the devouring gold silkworm made their debut, Situ Jie's and Zhou Yufeng's countenances became more grimaced. At this moment, They came to know that Shi Yin had a level 8 king of demonic corpse-eating insects and a demonic beast of the metal class which could destroy even the hardest defenses, the devouring gold silkworm. The two of them suddenly recognized that besieging Shi Yin outside the Silverstone fort was an irrational decision. But it was impossible to stop halfway. Seeing the king of demonic insects and the devouring gold silkworm storm over, they could only gather their nerves to counter at all cost. As Situjia was the consecrator of the martial spirit palace, he had learned many bizarre soul techniques from young Etion. The soul attack of the king of demonic insects hadn't approached yet, when his pupils shrunk and a green light shot out from his eyes. Inside that green beam, people could vaguely see the illusion of green water and mountains, giving people a relaxed feeling. This was some sort of a soul technique that made people lose their fighting spirit and just want to sink in the beautiful and poetic scenes. The illusions inside the green light piled up in layers, showing many attractive sights. The soul aura from it made people feel like they were sunbathing and only want to stay in this scene forever. After the scene inside the green light spread out, the soul attack from the king of demonic insects halted and then scattered like a rain shower, unable to intrude Situ Jie's and Zhou Yufeng's souls. The calm soul consciousness was still spreading out, crossing the king of demonic insects and the devouring gold silkworm to reach Shi Yin. This time, Situ Jie had acted more carefully, as he didn't dare to let the soul technique be absorbed directly into Shi Yin's sea of consciousness. He just let this intent domain expand near Shi Yin. Although it couldn't maximize the power of the calm soul consciousness soul technique to the peak, it could prevent his attack from being burned down by the devouring soul flame. This intent domain calmed people down to the point that they really wanted to sleep. Even though the attack's power was reduced, it still drained Shi Yan's fighting spirit. The dreadful fighting spirit had been affected by this strange intent domain. Shi Yan suddenly calmed down, as if this battle wasn't exciting at all and he just wanted to quit. He immediately realized that his soul consciousness had been affected by Situ Jie's intent domain. The spirit realm warrior had learned the subtle principle of the earth and firmament. If Shi Yin didn't counter with care, he would have himself perished. Mysterious ice enthralls. He shouted in his mind and withdrew the ice chi of the ice-cold flame, guiding the biting cold chi to his brain. The relaxed mind of his got struck by this cold chi. He couldn't help but shiver, which immediately helped him recover his sound mind. The dreadful fighting spirit once lost had been condensed again. When his fighting spirit rose up again, the power he had condensed was directly poured into the mysterious giant sword. Blood-like red eyes opened one by one on the sword. Whenever a new eye opened, the brutal and ruthless murderous aura emitting from the sword was rising by another intense level. When 2/3 of the eyes on the sword had opened, Shi Yin entered the third sky of rampage. Previously, when he was in the mystical, exotic land, he had a fortunate chance to peek at the subtle features of the third sky of rampage. Once the negative forces had been absorbed into his flesh, tendons, bones, and meridians of his entire body, it would merge with his own powers. When all kind of negative energies affected the energy in his body, he would fall into the wild, bloodthirsty state. This realm and the bedevilment were the same. His eyes were red, and it seemed like he had lost his mind. A desire of destroying everything gradually churned up in his heart. The third sky of rampage. All kind of negative energies were urged, and as the negative tide rose immensely, a look shot out from his eyes could bring up the negative spirit. Each acupoint could burst out all of a sudden during his fight. In this peculiar realm, he only urged the simplest murderous desire. The power of his entire body would raise up massively under the urge of the desire at the bottom of his heart, and he wouldn't experience pain and tiredness. In just a short time, his power would soar up abruptly. A surging energy that could destroy both the earth and firmament burst out from Shi Yin as its center. The sea water around him was rolling like huge tsunami, forming a massive vortex. Such a formidable energy. Yin Hui had a shocked face and couldn't help but exclaim, as his eyes were dazzling with light. Crew was also astounded. He constantly shook his head. This kid does have the extreme qualification. This powerful aura can be compared with that of a third sky of spirit realm warrior. Hai Luo's charming eyes brightened. She balled her small hands into fists and threw them excitedly in the air. He's so cool. All the members of the sea tribes surrounding them paled. They instinctively retreated into the silver stone fort, keeping themselves as far from Shuriyen as possible. Chao Jilan wore a cold face. She wanted to take action, but a feeling of being helpless rose up from the bottom of her heart. That year, when they were in the chasm battlefield, although Shuriyen was dangerous, he had been far behind from who he was now. At that time, Chao Jilan had had her guts to fight with him. But now, looking at Shuriyen releasing the intimidating aura, she couldn't endure it. She only wanted to hide away and didn't dare to protest. In the third sky of Rampage, the earth-shaking surging energy was flowing out from his body. He stretched his arm, pointing at the mysterious giant sword. The sword then slashed down, turning into a red ribbon and bringing with it the destructive aura, directly attacking Situ Jie and Zhou Yufeng. A deadly destructive intent domain was released from the giant sword. Situ Jie and Zhou Yufeng were affected by that intent domain, as an unexpected thought rose up in their mind. I'm dead. When this thought arose, Situ Jie's and Zhou Yufeng's aura were suppressed. When their imposing aura was subdued, they couldn't urge the power in their body. Under the attack of the mysterious giant sword and the attentive gaze of the king of demonic insects and the devouring gold silkworm, they had to struggle even more. Go! Zhou Yufeng wore a cold face as he shouted, his body constantly generating illusions, as his true body directly came to Chao Jilan, grabbed her then turned into a light, escaping to a distant place. Situ Jie didn't dare to linger. In just a blink of an eye, he came to Zhongli Dun, lifted the guy who was petrified, and fled away. Song Lan of the Penglai Holy Land saw the two spirit realm warriors run away, so how could he dare to stay? Despite his wounded body, he urged the forbidden technique to flee away, bringing Pan Zhao with him. They disappeared within a short period. As the giant sword was slashing down and its targets were thousands of li away, it could only halt and withdraw the brutal energy with the blood scent permeating the area. Shuriyen was surprised, used his soul consciousness to sense, and then reluctantly shook his head. As Zhou Yufeng and Situ Jie were the spirit realm warriors, if they fled away, it would be hard to chase after them. He released his soul consciousness, but he couldn't sense their current locations. This proved that the direction they had gone was extremely far from him. He wasn't interested in chasing after them. If he maintained this current state, he had to consume the energies of the Holy Spirit God, the ice-cold flame, and the earth flame constantly. Anyway, Zhou Yufeng and Situ Jie were spirit realm warriors. If he pursued them, he would only waste the powers of the three living beings. This wasn't what he wanted to see. As they didn't stay to fight, Shuriyen couldn't do anything. Now he could only leave them there and do the accounting later. Awesome boy. Yin Hui laughed, then flew out from the silver stone fort. I've made up my mind. I'll guide you to the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard myself. Chapter 466, Second Sky of Sky Realm. Chapter 466, Second Sky of Sky Realm. Inside a coral reef, thousands of li away from the silver stone fort, the 6 people of Situ Jie's group were hiding in between the 5-colored coral light. Their faces were illuminated with colorful lights, looking quite odd. Situ Jie and Zhou Yufeng had joined the battle together, and that damaged their soul consciousness significantly. They didn't take any advantage from Shuriyen, but got hurt themselves, and finally, had to run away distressingly. This was a deeply depressing attack. Situ Jie and Zhou Yufeng had a grimaced countenance as a light was flickering in their eyes. Their moods were down, and they kept sighing. Chao Jilan had no color on her face. Her complexion darkened, and her sparkling eyes had lost their shiny shade. She looked quite dreary and helpless, just like the state of her mind now. She recognized that she couldn't understand Shuriyen completely. How many years had passed? Shuriyen, who was chased after and threatened in the chasm battlefield, had become such an intimidating character. This took just a short time that she didn't dare to accept. In the endless sea, she was also a genius. Under the nourishment of the Chow family, her cultivation speed was fast, as she had entered the third sky of Earth realm even when she wasn't 30 years old yet. She would soon reach the Nirvana realm. Without Shi Yin as a reference, she would be happy and proud of her natural endowments. But today, when compared with Shi Yin, she found out that her progress wasn't even worth mentioning. When they had first met, she didn't put Shi Yin in her eyes. But now, it had just been a few years, and she had to look up to him. This sudden attack made her, the one who had boasted about herself as a talent, feel really small. Regret? Panja beamed a forced smile and reluctantly shook his head. Previously, I knew this man wasn't someone we should look down on, but I still disdained him. How long it has been. I find that I don't know him at all. Within this 1 year, I don't really know how he has cultivated. No one could have expected that he has tamed a level 8 demonic beast, and he also has such tremendous surging power. Panja let out a deep sigh. I've regretted it, but what is it for? As things have come to this, as we've done it wrong, we should follow the wrong way to the end. Chao Zhilan couldn't deny her failure. Her pretty eyes had lost their spirit as she was speaking the bitter words. He won't spare us. Even though he won't take revenge now, he will come for us sooner or later. Soon, we will meet him in the endless sea. Sigh, the endless sea's chaotic enough. If he comes back, no one knows what it will look like in the future. We're not afraid of him if he doesn't have the demonic beasts. But that beast can subdue us, and it has some method to break our soul consciousness. Sigh, it's hard to deal with him. Zhou Yufeng also sighed. Why can this boy from the Yang family reach such imposing strength? Who can tell me what's happened? Only he knows. Situ Jie's face darkened. It seems we have to strengthen our forces if we want to deal with him. I think he's still somewhere undersea. We should call someone from the land to join us and kill him. We can try Wu Xian, Gu Xiao, and Dongfang Ju. I think we can only choose that way, said Zhou Yufeng begrudgingly. Yeah, I will send the message and call for them. Situ Jie mused, then spoke up in a low tone. Certainly, Shi Yin would wander around this area. Wait until our assistance comes. We can then find him right away. With more people, we can absolutely kill him. If this kid is not eradicated, the endless sea will have no future. Even if it has a future, that future will belong to him. After he had said that, the group of Chao Zhilan and Zhong Lidun discolored. Don't think that I'm merely talking about a dangerous sensation. Situ Jie snorted coldly. I've seen him grow up with my own eyes. That year when he was on the Sun Island, he needed the guard from the demonic Sound clan and the Wings clan to run away under my soul consciousness suppression. How long it has been. Now, my soul consciousness couldn't attack him, and it even bit me back. If we give him more time, he can become the peerless character of the endless sea. At that time, it will be impossible to kill him. Yeah, we should absolutely not give him more time. Zhong Lidun shouted with a cold face. Summon the hotshots and put this man to death. In front of the Silver Stone Fort, the patriarch of the Silver Shark clan Yin Hui laughed and flew towards Shi Yin from the Silver Stone Fort. Under the attentive looks of the warriors from the sea tribes, Shi Yin deliberately withdrew his mysterious giant sword. His sense flickered, as he suddenly found a strange fluctuation sent to him from the mysterious giant sword. The mysterious giant sword had just guided him to make him release the deadly intent domain. As they were sinking into it, the intent domain of death covered them, which helped the mysterious giant sword affect Situ, Jie, and Zhou Yufeng. Unexpectedly, these two spirit realm warriors had a disheartened psyche. Under the effects of the deadly intent domain, the two spirit realm warriors had to run away distressingly and didn't dare to parry the mystical giant sword. Currently, when Shi Yin wanted to retrieve the giant sword, he realized that the destructive, deadly intent domain released by the sword was still there. It didn't fade away together with the two spirit realm warriors. But what surprised him was the vehement life intent domain after the deadly intent domain had risen. Only he could sense this bustling life intent domain behind the destructive, deadly intent domain he had released. The existence of this life intent domain seemed to enhance some sort of ability of the deadly intent domain. But he hadn't released the life intent domain. Did the giant sword do that? What was going on? Being dazed for a while, he couldn't help but open his mind and sink into the mystical giant sword, as he wanted to see the mysteries more clearly. After his soul consciousness jumped in, he found a shape that surprised him even more. Behind the life intent domain, there was the deadly aura, and behind this level, there existed another layer of life intent domain. The intent domains of death and life were blended inside the mysterious giant sword, just like a stair that had one step followed by another alternately. This uninterrupted sequence had created the strange reincarnation. Death, life, and reincarnation. Death or destruction appeared to prepare for the new life being born, the appearance of the new living being. Death and life couldn't be separated. A living being would have the fate of dying, and dying had the meaning of being reborn. As if it was to enlighten him with the wisdom, the truth that was related to death, life, and reincarnation appeared in his mind like lightning all of a sudden. His body was shaken, as he was stunned, and lightning was flashing in his eyes. Thoughts were interweaving at the speed of light in this mind, as he was acquiring the knowledge of the death and life intent domains. All of a sudden, the aura of life and death took turns and emitted from his body. This phenomenon looked oddly incomparable. Hui arrived, but as he was about to say something, he was stunned. The king of demon insects, the devouring gold silkworm, and even the mystical giant sword were aiming for him. They seemed to warn him against something. Looking at Yin, Hui frowned as he was sensing. Then, Hui's face was brightened. He understood something. This is the flash of realization. Good kid. Hui complimented the young man in his heart. But when he looked at the king of demonic insects and the devouring gold silkworm staring at him like tigers watching their prey, he couldn't help but take some steps back. Crew also came out at this moment, standing behind him. He was also surprised, looking at Yin. Patriarch, is he? Yes, he's comprehending some kind of intent domain. Just a fight, and he could perceive the truth of some power. This is really inconceivable. Hui confirmed his assumption and reminded him, don't come close to him. That king of demonic insects is not easy to play with. That sword seems to have its own consciousness as well. Don't come close. Crew's face changed and nodded to indicate that he understood the matter. You should go, but don't leave the Silver Stone Fort. Hui mused for a while, but he still couldn't ease his mind, shouting at the people of the sea tribes who were about to come there and check the situation. Having heard Hui's shout, they halted and observed from a far distance. How? Chapter 467. Remaining Might. Chapter 467. Remaining Might. After a fight, Yin had entered the second sky of Sky Realm directly. Through the fight with Situ Jie and Zhou Yufeng, his confidence was boosted, as he knew that the two Spirit Realm warriors couldn't kill him. Thus, when he went with Hui, he wasn't afraid of the other anymore. Hui could be a decent match at Yin's level, which could bring him to another height. So, when he talked to Hui, he didn't need to fret, and he could say anything he wanted without worrying that he would displease Hui. The reason why he chose to carry out the battle in front of the Silver Stone Fort was to show his competence to all the members of the sea tribes. This would make those people realize his real capacity that could help him counter any strong warriors from any races. He could even win. The Yang family was now different from the past, as their situation wasn't stable. He wanted to prove that he was strong enough to threaten the sea tribes. He wanted to make them realize that even if Yang Tian Emperor weren't there, as long as Yin still stayed there, the Yang family could always live in peace in the barren city. He wanted to make the people of the sea tribes who were disloyal be content with their lot. He believed that the details of this fight would be spread out through the whole seabed. At that time, Yang Zhua in the barren city would know that he was going to the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard, and that he could ease his mind. You don't need to take me there yourself. Walking in the water, Yin glared at Hui walking next to him. He frowned and said, You are the patriarch of a clan. You must have many businesses to attend to. Why do you want to waste your time and come with me? I also want to check the situation at the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard, said Hui. Our Silver Shark clan is located in this sea area. I've been to that dragon's tomb, but I haven't had the guts to enter the area. Haha. It's hard to find someone who isn't afraid of death. Of course, I want to see what you can do there. Shi Yin was surprised. You've been there before? Didn't you say that no one could return alive? In Hui suddenly felt shamed. I said I was watching from a distance. I didn't dare to go inside the tomb. Kid, are you ridiculing me intentionally? No, Shi Yin smiled. So, how is that place? You're going there anyway. It's useless to answer that question. You'd better come and see yourself to have an accurate cognition. In Hui's face became serious. He hesitated for a while before speaking up again. Shi Yin, I think I should warn you. If possible, don't go there. The antiquity lofty dragon graveyard is protected by some force of our sea tribes. Even our hotshots couldn't return alive on entering that area, let alone you kiddo. In Hui showed his sincere complexion. Fella, your cultivation base is exquisite. Apparently, later on, you'll be the number 1 or 2 hotshot of the endless sea. Why should you risk your life this time? If I didn't take risks, I wouldn't have broken through that fast. Shi Yin laughed. As you can enter the second sky of spirit realm, I'm sure you've undergone deadly situations as well. If we don't have the guts to not be afraid of death, how can we break through continuously? Forget it. It's all right if you don't want to take my advice. In Hui, of course, understood that his words weren't in vain. Every strong warrior would only perceive the realm comprehension through a deadly fight. Only if they were constantly near death would they recognize something they had never done in their typical life. Well, it's not sure that I would encounter dangers when I visit the ancient lofty dragon's tomb. Shi Yin laughed arrogantly. What? Tell me, do you think I look like an idiot? No, you don't. Yeah, so you can be assured about that. You did go to the dark magnetic noxious mist, right? I know you've been there. From your description, if a man has never been there, he can't give such clear and detailed description. What is inside the dark magnetic noxious mist? As far as I've known, there are so many marvelous things in there. For instance, the life original fluid? Shi Yan's face discolored as he was amazed. A strange light flashed in his eyes. Seems you know something about the dark magnetic noxious mist? Not me. Some precursors in my clan know something about the dark magnetic noxious mist. In Hui contemplated, then spoke up again. Our Silver Shark clan lives under the Vault of Heavensea area, and that dark magnetic noxious mist is in the east of the Vault of Heavensea area. Yeah, among the sea tribes, our Silver Shark clan is nearest to that place. Some precursors of our clan had been there. Most of them got lost. Some of them returned but couldn't tell the details inside the area. Only one precursor had met a human being in there, and hence, he knew something marvelous related to that place, including the life original fluid. You know the effects of the life original fluid? Shi Yin was stunned. It gives the third sky of spirit realm warriors a great chance to enter the true God realm, reducing the possibility of failure and risks. In Hui's eyes were brightened as he yelled, I think any spirit realm warriors would never forget a special thing like the life original fluid once they hear about it. If he got this thing, I think Nu Lang would directly seclude himself to cultivate and try to break through the true God realm. Haha, too bad this thing could be only directly seen and not be wished for. Nu Lang knows that, but he doesn't dare to keep dreaming. Shi Yin was moved. You've been in the dark magnetic noxious mist? Have you ever heard about this? In Hui's eyes were as bright as the torch as he grinned, then said, My precursor told us that the life original fluids somehow related to a level 8 demonic beast. If I'm not wrong, that beast's a corpse-eating demonic insect, isn't it? Shi Yan's eyebrows slammed together. He finally knew the reason why In Hui wanted to take him to the ancient dragon's graveyard personally. The life original fluid. To warriors at the spirit realm, if they knew about the life original fluid, no one could press down their desire. The Silver Shark clan lived near the dark magnetic noxious mist. Many precursors of the Silver Shark clan had come there, so they must know about the life original fluid. Shi Yin had returned from the dark magnetic noxious mist, and he even had the king of demonic insects. When he connected the information, how could In Hui keep himself from overthinking? When I was in the dark magnetic noxious mist, I had heard about the life original fluid. However, the rumor I've known isn't related to the corpse-eating demonic insects. Shi Yin wore a calm face and said faintly, "As far as I am concerned, my demonic insect doesn't know about the life original fluid. I think you are overthinking." "Am I?" In Hui grinned. His eyes were as bright as a flame, gazing at Shi Yin. "Haha, perhaps I'm overthinking. I thought you had the life original fluid." "Yeah. If you do have the life original fluid, let alone me, even Nu Lang will be willing to do any kind of business with you." To Nu Lang, a drop of the life original fluid is more precious than a sea area in the endless sea. Shi Yin frowned, smiled, but didn't comment anything. "If I can have a drop of the life original fluid, In Hui can also ignore the principles. Unfortunately, I don't have it. You shouldn't think about it much." "Oh, that's too bad." Barren City. From the Sea Tribe's members, Yang Zhua got to know about the big fight that happened at the Silverstone Fort. Finally, he could confirm that Shi Yin wanted to visit the Antiquity Lofty Dragon's tomb. "Father, did Shi Yin really hurt Zhou Yufeng and Situjie? He even made them flee with difficulty? Did it really happen?" asked Yang Mu excitedly. The faces of some juniors in the Yang family reddened, as if they were the main character in that fight. "Yeah, people from the Sea Tribes said so." Many members of the Sea Tribes at the Silverstone Fort had witnessed that battle. Afterward, many Sea Tribes members here are staying content with their lot. They even treat us with more respect. That kid Shi Yin did something incredible. Haha, I always knew that he wouldn't be law-abiding. You see, just a couple days, and he had stirred up the Silverstone Fort. Many Sea clans have seen him, laughed Yang Mu. "Don't be happy that early. He's really dumb this time, as he wants to visit the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard." "I think he would be all right." The beautiful eyes of Li Feng glistened. "Don't know why, but I can sense the infinite potential in him. If someone else goes to the dragon's tomb, I'm sure he will die. But if it's Shi Yin, I think the result will be different." "I think so too," smiled Yang Shui. The young generation of the Yang family had an extreme blind trust on Shi Yin after they had known about the surprises Shi Yin had brought. "You guys don't really know the immensity of earth and firmament." Yang Zhua beamed a forced smile. Under the vault of Heaven Sea area, inside the colorful coral reef, four silhouettes slowly descended next to Situjie, all wearing serious faces. "Anxiang," Chao Zhilan gracefully called out, "You've arrived." After they received the news of the battle, Qing Ming, the Queen of Heaven, the Emperor of Earth, and Gu Shao immediately left aside the dispute they had in the endless sea to work together, and came to the seabed. "You have guys suffered the hardship due to him, haven't you?" asked Gu Shao from the group of 6 with a cold and strict face. "Is he that dangerous?" Gu Shao looked at Situjie, then Qing Ming, the Queen of Heaven, and the Emperor of Earth. He frowned. "Do you really need to mobilize our force? If we don't exterminate him this time, we will not have any chance later." Situjie shook his head and sighed. "That brat isn't afraid of soul consciousness intrusions. At present, he's at the Sky Realm, but I don't know what kind of force he has borrowed, as he could exude the aura that wasn't less intimidating like a second sky of Spirit Realm warrior. Besides, he has a level 8 demonic beast and a metal class beast. They're really savage." "It's been just a year, and he's made such progress?" Queen of Heaven Fan Shangyun gave a forced smile. "We couldn't withstand him in the battle that year. Now, he's even more dangerous. It's tough this time. If not, we wouldn't need to call you here," sighed Zhou Yufeng. "However, it's different this time. With the 4 of you, we will have the absolute triumph." Situjie darkened his face and said maliciously, "This time, he must die." Chapter 468. Awaken. Chapter 468. Awaken. Shi Yin and In Hui went straight to the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard. Along the way, they met some high-level beasts, but they somehow had some intelligence as they proactively avoided In Hui. Even though In Hui had a cultivation base of the second sky of Spirit Realm, he didn't intend to release his strong aura that much. However, it was enough to scare the demonic beasts away. The path they were taking was smooth and without any fear or danger. Eventually, on the third day, the two of them reached a forbidden area which had a lot of skeletons of antiquity demonic beasts. At first glance, they were all large-sized white skeletons. Each beast skeleton was as translucent as jade, sparkling with strange rays on the seabed. It gave people a feeling of full energy. Since they had reached this area, Inhui became more careful. He watched here and there at each step they took. Along the way, he had tried to probe the stories related to the life original fluid, but Shi Yin had dodged them all. No matter it was Inhui or the other spirit realm warriors who knew about the life original fluid, they would undoubtedly develop the greedy desire in their hearts. Shi Yin wasn't an idiot. If he told them that he did have the life original fluid, Nu Lang would go crazy. Even if Nu Lang was well known for his moral conduct, he was still a member of the Sea Tribes. Before he could have the ability to protect the life original fluid, if he disclosed it, Nu Lang would use force to snatch it from him. Shi Yin wasn't confident in taking the upper hand against the peerless warrior of the Sea Tribes. Thus, keeping it on the low was necessary at this time. The area ahead of us has chaotic energies. Keep walking forward. It's the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard. Inhui ceased walking and frowned at him. I can accompany you only to this area. I don't want to die in vain. At last, I want to advise you this thing. If you don't want to die, you'd better stop here. Goodbye. Shi Yin smiled, but he didn't look worried at all. If I can return alive, I will visit you at the Silver Shark Clan. At that time, perhaps we can do some real business. What business? Inhui was surprised. The one you are interested in. Shi Yin contemplated, then swayed his hand. I have to go. Thanks for guiding me here. Last question. You didn't get the life original fluid in the dark magnetic noxious mist, did you? Inhui wore a solemn face. Perhaps you will disappear from this world after this moment. Could you tell me the truth? He still stuck to this topic. When I come back safely, we will discuss it. Shi Yin smiled, then entered the area. Under the chaotic energies, he still walked calmly forward. Inhui's eyes brightened. He stood at his spot, looking at Shi Yin disappearing. His countenance was uncertain. Long afterward, he sighed and muttered, If you can come back alive, perhaps we should really talk. I hope you fella have plenty of luck, and that you could turn danger into good luck. The Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard has buried so many talents of the Sea Tribes. If you can survive, it means you can do something the precursors of the Sea Tribes couldn't. It's enough for all strong warriors of the Sea Tribes to look at you with respect. Of course, Shi Yin couldn't hear what Inhui said. After he had intruded the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard, the blood vein ring started to sparkle, unceasingly releasing an immense, misty, blood halo. The white skeletons of the beasts were so many that it was beyond people's imagination. At first glance, the whole area was covered with white bones. With a closer look, Shi Yin found out many smaller skeletons among the giant beast skeletons. Those skeletons had different shapes with the signature of the Sea Tribes. Apparently, what Inhui and the other had told him was true. Thousands of years had gone by, and this ancient dragon graveyard had buried so many strong warriors of the Sea Tribes. Phosphorescent dots flew out from inside the skeletons from time to time. They were floating in the water, gazing at people like the eyes of demons. This caused people anxiety, and it could even affect the sea of consciousness somehow. The surging, cold, and evil energies permeated the area. These kinds of energies were really massive. They created numerous vortexes that naked eyes couldn't see. If someone carelessly got in one of the vortexes, they would be devoured, leaving nothing behind. The scary rumors about this place grew in his mind. He was a little bit anxious, as his moves become more careful. Unexpectedly, these energies with intimidating attributes were moving chaotically around him, but they didn't storm over. When these scary energies came near him and contacted the halo from the blood vein ring, they would scatter proactively. The blood vein ring was like a life-protecting amulet. As it was glittering, it could prevent all kinds of energy attacks which could even kill God Realm warriors. Along the way, he unexpectedly didn't encounter any danger. The forbidden place that discolored people was so peaceful to him that he couldn't believe his eyes. Was the blood vein ring genuinely related to this forbidden place? Shi Yan's eyes brightened, and his confidence boosted up. Without the blood vein ring, he couldn't know neither of the antiquity lofty dragon graveyard, nor the bloodthirsty entourage of 8 Lao Luo's dark body. If the blood vein ring had guided him here, evidently, he needed not be worried that he would fall into dangerous situations. At this moment, he truly could appreciate the mystery of the blood vein ring. The blood vein ring was releasing a blood-like halo that could prevent all intrusions of evil forces in the lofty dragon's tomb. Along the way, all kinds of energies in the forbidden place had to disperse around him and couldn't attach to his body. He was gliding among all sorts of white skeletons. As he didn't encounter any risks, he directly entered the marvel he had never seen before. The 300-meter skeleton of the lofty dragon. The skeleton was snow-white, with a twinkling brilliance. The white frame of the lofty dragon stayed inside the house made of demonic beast skeletons. Right under the yellow dragon skeleton lay a giant black crystal coffin. The coffin lid was covered with all kinds of peculiar patterns, which looked pretty similar to the patterns on the blood vein ring. It seemed like they were moving slowly. An old, desolate, rude, and unreasonable aura vehemently burst out from the black coffin that shook people. The blood halo emitting from the blood vein ring suddenly became fiercer, releasing a scarlet light beaming over the black coffin. The mysterious patterns on the coffin seemed like they were revived, moving faster on the coffin. A dark, evil energy shot out from there. Bang! The lid of the coffin exploded into pieces. A black iron puppet that was around 3 meters tall sat up in the coffin. This puppet was covered in iron armor, which seemed to grow directly on its body, connected perfectly without any gaps or slits. This puppet wore an ink-black ferocious mask that exposed only its swarthy, empty pupils. The color of its pupils was vague, and Shi Yan didn't know what could have had happened to them. Bang bang, bang bang. A strong heartbeat reverberated from the puppet. It seemed like it had an extremely exuberant heart that could transport the world-shaking dark energy for the puppet's body. The puppet got up from the coffin, looking at the blood vein ring. A scarlet beam shot out from the blood vein ring, shining directly onto the pupils of the puppet. The black pupils of the puppet gradually turned dark red, and it seemed like there was a drop of blood inside each of its pupils, which was really terrifying. A strange soul fluctuation was generated from the scarlet light, pouring into the puppet. Deep inside the puppet's pupils, an illusion of the immense blood sea with countless skeletons of many clans could be seen. Corpses laid everywhere, piling up like mountains. Blood gushing out from those corpses had generated all sorts of sinister patterns. It was like some soul ritual had been performed. Seemed like the red beams from the blood vein ring had activated this antiquity demogorgon. The puppet in the coffin received the mysterious scarlet light from the blood vein ring in silence. Seemed like it was about to be wakened up from some ancient, intimidating place and brought back to this world. A black light started to shoot out from the puppet. This dark light was filled with a terrorizing, destructive aura. Chapter 469. The War Devil. Chapter 469. The War Devil. Sigma. That was an imprint that controlled spirits. This imprint had reached an agreement with Lao Luo's body. When Shi Yan let his mind sink into the imprint, he found that he could control that black iron puppet. It was a marvelous sense he couldn't describe. As soon as his thought sent a message to the Imperial Soul imprint, this unidentified black iron puppet would do as he asked. His mind flickered, and the black iron puppet walked toward him. A malicious aura exuded from the puppet that sent shivers down Shi Yan's spine. Under this tremendous pressure, he had the tense feeling he had never had before. But his blood vein ring had the power to control this Lao Luo's dark body. Shi Yan relaxed his tense nerves and started to study the soul imprint in his host's soul, letting his mind sink into it and send out messages. As expected, the black iron puppet was changing its positions unceasingly according to his wishes. What he thought, the puppet would implement. His eyes suddenly brightened. As his messages were being sent along, The black iron puppet was swiftly gliding inside the skeleton of the lofty dragon. War devil. The ice-cold flame sent him its thought from inside the blood vein ring. It seemed to be frightened. Shi Yin was surprised, but he reacted immediately. You know the origin of this fellow? The fighting puppet was forged by warriors of the antiquity era. It has the pure fighting will and can break even the hardest defense. The information the ice-cold flame gave him was exciting. Where did you get him? This is absolutely the fighting puppet made by warriors in ancient times. He's called War Devil. Only warriors in that era knew how to refine war devils. The aura on this war devil is extraordinarily vicious. I think it has at least the power of peak spirit realm. So, what are the war devils? War devils are fighting puppets that were born for fighting. High-level war devils can have the fighting imprint of their masters. That's how it could have its master's divine abilities. To refine a war devil, it needs hundreds or even 1,000 years together with the consumption of endless resources of earth and firmament. It has to absorb the special energies from heaven and earth to be formed gradually. Seemed like the ice-cold flame didn't know about this puppet as it hurried to explain Shi Yin. As far as I've known, in that era, each war devil was very formidable. It could be used as a clone of its master with the master's divine soul imprint, and its effects were huge. War devils from the antiquity time. Shi Yin's eyes brightened. Perhaps the previous owner of the blood vein ring was a strong warrior in the ancient time, or it was even older than the antiquity, the time the first warriors ever appeared. Suddenly, he was dazed. He had never thought that the origin of the blood vein ring was beyond his imagination. The antiquity was the dawn of the warriors, which had the strongest warrior in the legends. They said that there were some peerless warriors, whose powers even surpassed the God-King limit. They had intimidating powers, and their bodies could leave the Grace mainland to travel the vast celestial area. If the blood vein ring came from that era, its previous owner must be an earth-shaking warrior. Why did he die? Why did the blood vein ring appear in that worn-out cave? Why had he appeared in that cave from another world by chance? Did that antiquity warrior know how to switch time and space to bring people from another era to this world? As he could use the heaven and earth that much, what kind of fantastic level had he reached? He was totally dumbstruck. At this moment, he suddenly realized it wasn't coincidental that he had appeared in that cave. Perhaps all the key factors stayed in the blood vein ring. Warriors at that time could understand all kinds of power in the heaven and earth and various other mysterious meanings. All the current martial techniques, soul techniques, or martial spirits are inherited from warriors of that era. It's the era of the origin of warriors, the root of warriors. The ice-cold flame told Shi Yin all it knew. Shi Yin became more frightened as he listened to the flame's description. According to the ice-cold flame, the antiquity was the peak era of the warriors. Compared to them, the present warriors in this world were as small as ants that they could kill within a second. This war devil fighting puppet was born in that time. It can penetrate all sorts of hardest defenses. If you can control it, there will be no one in the endless sea that can subdue you. Shi Yin couldn't help but get stirred up. The trip to the antiquity lofty dragon graveyard was smoother than he had expected. Since he had heard many terrible rumors about the lofty dragon's tomb, he was anxious when he entered the place, and he even thought that he had to risk his life to see the lofty dragon's skeleton. He wasn't so sure he could find that coffin. It was unexpected that with the blood vein ring's guidance, he hadn't experienced any terrifying adventure. It was like he was taking a stroll to the center of the lofty dragon graveyard. Now, he had found the dragon's skeleton and this black iron puppet. Everything was so smooth that he couldn't believe his own eyes. It hadn't even been a full day, and he had what he wanted. This harvest made him laugh with satisfaction. All thanks to the blood vein ring. The mystical treasure he got when he had just come to the Grace mainland did have such a strange power, and its profile was so amazing. Moreover, it could wake up the war devil fabricated by Lao Luo. War devil. Shi Yin curled his lips, looking at the puppet called War Devil, and couldn't help but feel lucky. He was lucky that he got the blood vein ring. After running around the lofty dragon graveyard one round, He found that the chaotic energies here were silently transmitted into the war devil puppet. All sorts of energies existing in the dragon's tomb had been attracted by the war devil, and they were storming over, disappearing into the puppet's body. War devil took them in all. However, its aura wasn't increasing, but slowly retreating into its body. From the imprint in his host's soul, Yin knew that the dark energy in the war devil's heart had been increasing fast. But the war devil was as if it were a profound warrior who knew how to hide his intimidating aura. The imposing pressure was slowly gone. Yin wasn't hurried, waiting for the war devil to absorb the energy right inside the lofty dragon skeleton. Outside the graveyard, Hui frowned, waiting for him. All of a sudden, he recognized that the dense, chaotic energies had been diluted. This phenomenon surprised Hui a lot. Light flashed across his eyes as he was staring at that area. Why is that happening? Hui was dumbfounded for half of a day. He shook his head, then muttered disbelievingly, "It's just been 2 days. Has that kid met something strange in there? Why did the chaotic energy start to change not long after he entered the place? Does he know the subtle mysteries of the antiquity lofty dragon graveyard?" Hui was frightened. "Hey, something strange over there." Gu Zhao's eyes flared up while searching for his target in the seawater. He pointed to the lofty dragon graveyard's general direction. He furrowed his eyebrows, then asked the others, "Do you know what's the place over there? Is that the Silver Shark clan's territory? Why does it have such a tremendous surging energy like that?" Situ Jie shook his head, hesitated for a while, and then his face discolored all of a sudden. "That's the lofty dragon graveyard." Lofty dragon graveyard? Gu Xiao was surprised as he shook his head, asking puzzlingly, "What's that?" "The most mysterious forbidden area undersea." Situ Jia was the consecrator of the martial spirit palace in the Vault of Heaven Sea area, and had visited the seabed before. He knew there was a mysterious place like that undersea, which all the Sea Tribe's members considered the forbidden area and never dared to intrude. Situ Jia simply described all kinds of rumors about the lofty dragon's forbidden place. The warriors of the Endless Sea had their faces discolored after they listened to him. The Sea Tribe's forbidden place? Chao Jilan mused for a while before speaking up. Perhaps it isn't related to Yin. He isn't stupid to enter that area. According to you, even the God Realm warriors of the Sea Tribes couldn't escape death if they came to that area. Would he dare to risk his life? Who knows? Situ Jia was hesitant for a moment before giving his suggestion. Searching in vain isn't a good solution. If that lofty dragon's graveyard has something anomalous, perhaps it will be related to the moves of the Sea Tribes. We aren't afraid to go there and check it out. All right. Everybody nodded in agreement. Let's go. Soon, the warriors from the Endless Sea had arrived at the edge of the lofty dragon's forbidden place and met Hui there. Silver Shark clan's patriarch. Zhou Yufeng discolored as he instinctively frowned when he thought they had come to the right place. It was certain that warriors of the Sea Tribes were doing something they didn't want the others to know here. Hui was also surprised. He shook his head, then looked at the other with an odd face. "I didn't expect that you guys could come here." "Yeah, good fortune. But it's useless even if you can come here. Yan's in the lofty dragon's tomb. If you aren't afraid of death, you can go there to find him." "What?" Chao Jilan shouted. She was astonished that they had found Yan's whereabouts. "Is he really there?" Situ Jia was excited, grinning. "Seems like God does want that brat to die. Let's see if he can leave this place alive." "If he does come out, what's good for you if you're waiting for him here?" Hui wanted to stir up the mess. "He's been there for almost 3 days. Although I don't know what's going on there, I'm sure the change in the area related to him. If you want to kill him, just get in there directly." "Haha, we can wait outside." Zhong Lidun smiled. Of course, he wouldn't fall into the other's trap. Being the future leader of the Martial Spirit Palace, he knew how intimidating the antiquity lofty dragon graveyard was. Apparently, he wouldn't take risks. Well then, just take your time. Chapter 470. Come out? Chapter 470. Come out? Outside the antiquity lofty dragon graveyard, 6 spirit realm warriors, including Situ Jie, Qing Ming, and the 4 Chao Jilan, Panja, Zhonglan, and Zhongli Dun, were waiting for something in silence. Yin Hui was standing 10 meters away from those 10 people. He was calm and didn't show any trace of fear. This place was undersea, the territory of the Silver Shark clan, and Yin Hui had a cultivation base of the second sky of Spirit Realm, which was higher than the others. If he wanted to run away, even the 6 people of Situ Jie's group couldn't hold him back. Since his realm was higher than theirs, Yin Hui was relaxed, watching over this group of warriors. That kid has entered the lofty dragon graveyard. Perhaps we don't need. Situ Jie coldly looked in the direction of the graveyard. Thousands of years have passed by, and numerous hotshots of the sea tribes had intruded the place, but no one could come out alive. Although that kid has good fortune, I don't think he could break this record. Zhongli Dun nodded in agreement. As the members of the Vault of Heaven Sea area, these two had heard about the intimidation of the lofty dragon's tomb. They knew many rumors about the area, so as they thought that Shi Yin couldn't come back alive. If it were someone else, we wouldn't need to wait. Chao Jilan frowned, talking with a solemn tone. But Shi Yin isn't a somebody. I've known him for several years, and he has brought me many strange feelings. He has many factors different from the others. If not, he couldn't progress that fast. I think he even has the ability to deal with you guys. I also think that he can come back alive. Panja wore a bitter smile. Don't know why, but I always feel Shi Yin is different from the others. Things they couldn't do, he may fulfill. You two are the strong young warriors of the Endless Sea. Have you been scared by Shi Yin that much? I think you two have a blind admiration for that brat. Zhongli Dun snorted, and then said with morose face, even if he's strong, will he be more mighty than the precursor of the sea tribes? I don't actually know what kind of special power he could have to survive and come back from the lofty dragon's tomb. If he didn't have the confidence, he would not enter the place. Chao Jilan threw him a glance and said with her stiff face and impolite tone, forgive me if I'm too frank, but Shi Yin has many dangerous skills that you can't even imagine. Yeah, you were the top warrior of the combat list, the most prominent young warrior of Endless Sea. But Shi Yin's existence has broken your title. No matter you accept the fact or not, he's stronger than you. Zhongli Dun's grimaced. Light flashed in his eyes as he couldn't accept her saying. I admit that I have looked down on him, Chao Jilan continued indifferently. But I don't disdain you. I can say clearly that you, Zhongli Dun, are too weak compared to Shi Yin. Zhongli Dun, if you are able, why do you need many seniors accompanying you to catch Shi Yin? I think, if Shi Yin wants to kill you, he needs only 1 second. Zhongli Dun's eyes were cold, his face getting more and more malicious. All right, Situ Jie furrowed his brows. Shi Yin is really dangerous. Otherwise, we wouldn't need to gather many people here to catch him. Anyway, don't be dispirited. No matter how powerful he is, he has to die this time. It's been many years since the Endless Sea has had some dazzling stars. But many of the ones that appeared had been shut off before they could grow up. Shi Yan's about to fall into the same track. I hope so. Chao Jilan shook her head then let out a slight sigh. Her heart was filled with resentment. What made her regret the most was her narrow vision. If she had believed Shi Yin and tied the Chao family and Shi Yin together, the current situation would have been different from now. She was the proudest and most arrogant among the young generations of the Chao family. She had pride, but that pride had been torn apart after she got to know Shi Yin. Shi Yan's appearance reminded her that there was someone in the Endless Sea who could subdue her in many aspects. She had been dissatisfied, and perhaps she didn't want to admit it. So, after she had known about the pagans and the decline of the Yang family, she put down her emotional approval and decided to give up on Shi Yin, turning her back on the Yangs. It turned out that her decision was wrong. Those people were still waiting in ambush outside the dragon's graveyard. 5 days passed by like a flash. All kinds of chaotic energies inside the graveyard had disappeared completely. As they were spirit realm warriors, they all recognized that scary change and were discreetly frightened. Especially Yin Hui. He had seen with his own eyes that 2 days after Shi Yin had entered the place, those kinds of evil and peculiar energies wandering for hundreds of years inside the lofty dragon's tomb had been changed. In just a short period, they were all gone. This phenomenon had never happened before. He had been living for so many years undersea, but he had never heard about this strange phenomenon in the antiquity lofty dragon graveyard. Apparently, it was related to Shi Yin. Anticipation gradually grew in him. At first, he hadn't expected anything, but now, something strange had happened inside the graveyard, which was unprecedented for thousands of years. Perhaps Shi Yin could really return alive. Another day had gone by. A dark air current pervaded in the water, drifting quickly while emitting blisters everywhere. There was some kind of a peculiar power inside those blisters. In just a blink of an eye, several thousands of blisters appeared, then slowly gathered into a giant chunk of blister. However, that blister then disappeared into thin air, as if some creature had devoured it. A long while later, a silhouette emerged from the graveyard, calmly walking towards this direction. Behind him walked a 3-meter-tall black iron puppet. The hefty-built puppet was moving agilely, giving people a strange illusion of willow kakin. One man and one black iron puppet were walking like that towards the other people, standing in front of the tomb. In Huey's eyes brightened up. The 6 spirit realm warriors suddenly put on cold faces, as divine light shot out from their eyes, shining on Shi Yin. He has returned, In Hui muttered with a complicated expression. He was dumbfounded for a while before shifting his look on Situ Jie's group of 6, frowning as he was considering how to deal with the upcoming big fight. He's unexpectedly coming out from the lofty dragon graveyard. Zhongli Dun's face was grimaced. His eyes were as sharp as a saber, sneering all of a sudden. But his end is still going to be death. The young man strolled over, not intending to dodge the others. He came in front of them and then curled his lips. Such a mighty formation. Well, it's not been even 10 days, and you can already come back from the antiquity lofty dragon graveyard. In Hui beamed a forced smile. I admit that I always look down on you, but I can't imagine you could fulfill what the hotshots of the sea tribes couldn't do. Shi Yin, I have found that you have infinite potential. Shi Yin smiled but didn't say anything. Yeah, I think you can be as stable as Mount Tai under the siege of those 6 spirit realm warriors. In Hui's face became solemn. All of a sudden, a white beam shot out from his eyes, entering Shi Yan's soul. At the same time, a message was transmitted to Shi Yin. If you need help, you only need to nod, and I will bring you out of the siege of those 6 people. In Hui's realm was much higher than Situ Jie and his men. This message sent by his soul consciousness directly contacted with Shi Yan's soul, and the others couldn't hear it. Under In Hui's bright eyes, Shi Yin smiled then shook his head, indicating he didn't need help. In Hui was both amazed and suspicious. He didn't know why Shi Yin had such pride to deny his offer. This kid had some new method to flee away, perhaps? The more he thought about it, the more curious In Hui was. He stayed aside to observe what miracle method Shi Yin had. He didn't dare to think that Shi Yin could kill those 6 spirit realm warriors. Although they were just at the first sky of spirit realm, if the 6 of them joined hands, even In Hui would find it hard to encounter. Situ Jie, Zhou Yufeng, Gu Xiao, Qing Ming, the Queen of Heaven, and the Emperor of Earth. Shi Yin looked at them and called out their names. He nodded and smiled. Good. Those who should have come, have come. Seems like you all are in a hurry to kill me. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. It saves me from more troubles. Shi Yin. The beautiful eyes of Chao Zhilan were sad, as she spoke up with a soft voice. If you give up willingly and self-destroy your cultivation base, I can save your life. Miss Chao. Qing Ming, Situ Jie, Gu Xiao and Zhongli Dun shouted before she could finish her talk. Their faces changed. No doubt he has to die. Absolutely no chance for him to escape death. I think we've talked about this very clearly. Chao Zhilan frowned. Do we really have to kill him? If he isn't a threat to us, we can spare his life. Do not raise your words again. Situ Jie's voice was strong. He has to die. No one can change this. The group of Qing Ming also nodded seriously. Chao Zhilan sighed. frowned, and shut her mouth. Haha, seems like you really think that I have to die this time, eh? Shi Yan's mouth cracked into a smile. He seemed to not be in a hurry at all. With only 4 spirit realm warriors, and you're so confident that you expect me to die even before we start our fight. Do you really have such confidence? Do you think there would be some surprises? Zhongli Dun smiled and ridiculed. I think yes, Shi Yan smiled. A huge surprise. Perhaps in the end, the ones who would have to run for their lives will be you guys, and not me. His dark and cold eyes gazed at Zhongli Dun, just like an ice sword taken out of its scabbard, diffusing thick, murderous intent. Every single one of them is much stronger than Zhongli Dun. Ha ha, and they aren't the shining stars of the divine great land. I'm telling you, don't be the frog hiding under the coconut shell and think that the endless sea is the best place. In their eyes, the endless sea's just a place of barbarians. We don't even have a single true God realm warrior. Always staying in such a place. How pathetic we are. All the warriors, including Yin Hui, discolored. Forget it. I'm not going to waste my time with you guys. He smiled, waved his hand while pointing at Zhongli Dun. Start with him. Kill anyone you can. Never mind if they run away. They'll die sooner or later. Who dares to linger? Kill them all. Zhongli Dun was shaken, his face dumbfounded. Situ Jie's group were bewildered, not knowing to whom Shi Yan was talking. But right after that, they knew to whom Shi Yan had assigned these tasks. The 3-meter-tall black iron puppet war devil deliberately walked out from behind him, strolling towards Zhongli Dun. It was slow at first, but its pace was getting faster and faster after each step. Ultimately, the war devil turned into a black thunderbolt and shot toward Zhongli Dun. Its 2 eyes were like 2 dark suns that gazed at Zhongli Dun. An evil, vicious energy that could drown people's minds into endless darkness was suddenly released. When Zhongli Dun met the war devil's eyes, he was stunned, blankly standing at his spot. Crack! The war devil flew over and stomped on the top of Zhongli Dun's head. People then heard the sound of cracking bones. Zhongli Dun was turned into a pulp of flesh after just 1 strike. Situ Jie could only watch the scene of Zhongli Dun getting killed and didn't have enough time to help. On the contrary, he had to urge all the strength of his soul consciousness to resist the intimidating soul energy intruding. He suddenly found himself dragged into a world of endless darkness. No beam of light could be seen. His soul consciousness sank as it met the death and destructive intent domain there, just like he was a dead man entering a strange, eccentric space. An earth-shattering, dark aura expanded from the war devil, which had just killed Zhongli Dun. This malicious aura seemed to want to destroy the whole world, enveloping the entire seabed of the Vault of Heaven Sea area. At this moment, all spirit realm warriors were dumbfounded as fear filled their faces. Even the 2 great warriors above the Vault of Heaven Sea area noticed this torrential, ominous source of evil. They hurriedly got out of the Vault of Heaven Sea area, plunging into the sea with their fastest pace. At the same time, inside the extinct volcanoes of the Black Flood Dragon clan, Nu Lang was talking with the 3 spirit realm warriors. He suddenly got pale-faced as he shouted, "Such a strong, evil force. Patriarch, what's going on? Since your realms are still low and your knowledge of souls is shallow, you can't sense it." Nu Lang got up suddenly. That evil energy comes from the Silver Shark clan. Seems like it's from the lofty dragon graveyard. I have to go there to see. Then, Nu Lang turned into a bunch of light, shooting straight to that area. Yin Hui was utterly stunned. Although he knew that War Devil should be extraordinary, he didn't expect that its terrifying aura could cover the whole territory of the Silver Shark clan. Such a destroying earth force could subdue all hotshots present here. Kill him. Shi Yan pointed at Situ Jie. The War Devil got it. The pupils looked like 2 dark suns as they gazed at Situ Jie, destroying his mentality. His face was blank, just like what Zhongli Dun's. It's entered Situ Jie's soul. Gu Xiao woke up from fear and immediately shouted, "Join hands and deal with this black iron puppet." We can't let it kill each of us like that. His words woke up everyone. The Queen of Heaven, the Emperor of Earth, Qing Ming and Zhou Yufeng took action together. They urged their secret treasures and their outstanding martial arts. Sacred swords, small cauldrons, jade, knife, and fork, etc. all utilized their special energies and joined each other. Many kinds of beautiful holy lights radiated, shooting towards the war devil. Rumble, rumble. Although it was receiving the attack from various kinds of secret treasures and energies, the war devil stood still like a stone table. No scratch could be seen on its body. The black iron armor on its body was the strongest wall in the world, unafraid of any kinds of power. Under numerous attacks of secret treasures and energies, the war devil sauntered towards Situ Jie. Its massive arms stretched out, grabbed Situ Jie by his legs, and ripped him in half. The body with the spirit realm cultivation of Situ Jie was like a piece of paper in the puppet hands. He was torn apart, and bloody intestines fell on the ground. Even Situ Jie's soul, which hadn't got out of his body yet, perished under the gaze of the puppet's dark pupils. Both the flesh body and the soul were destroyed. In just a short moment, Situ Jie had been killed and even his soul was destroyed. Zhong Lidun was smashed into a pulp of meat, with nothing left behind. Shi Yan's complexion was a little shaken, but he burst out laughing. Well done. Worth my expectations. The power of the war devil was what he had imagined, as it was capable of terminating warriors like Situ Jie. After the war devil had taken action, Shi Yan felt at ease as he knew he would definitely win this time. What the heck is it? The Queen of Heaven Fan Xiang Yun's voice was shaking. Deep fear flooded her charming face. No matter what it is, it should have some weakness. Zhou Yufeng shouted. Kill Shi Yan first. If he dies, this fighting puppet will lose its effects. Everybody responded to his shout, looking at Shi Yan. The next one, Shi Yan curled his lips, pointing at Zhou Yufeng. A bloodlight shot out from the war devil's dark pupils, striking towards Zhou Yufeng. A beam of dark, endless light flew out from its mouth, which seemed to be able to devour all kinds of lights. When it appeared, all the light undersea was absorbed. The whole place became pitch dark, and one couldn't even see his own fingers. In this complete darkness, Zhou Yufeng's pitiful scream rose. Everyone heard it, but they couldn't see what had happened. In the immense darkness, Zhou Yufeng's voice was so mournful, which didn't seem to belong to a human at all. The irritating sound of dismembering flesh and breaking bones echoed from time to time. This was absolutely terrifying. Under the situation that they couldn't see anything but only hear the dreadful screams, it was much worse than seeing someone being buried or dismembered alive. Although Qing Ming and the Queen of Heaven had the spirit realm cultivation base, they couldn't bear such pressure. They couldn't help but cry, then tried all means to get to the sea surface. Gradually, Zhou Yufeng's heart-rending shrill ceased. The darkness on the seabed also lifted up. Zhou Yufeng wasn't there, and was replaced a pile of smashed meat, just like it was grounded by a meat grinder. It was really terrible to look at him now. He had utilized his third sky of spirit realm cultivation base to get here with maximum speed. It took him only several minutes to arrive at the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard. Nu Lang's visage was dark. He frowned while observing the situation, then shifted his eyes to the war devil with a strange look. Half a minute later, Nu Lang took a deep breath, then turned to Yin Hui. Some spirit realm warriors got killed here, right? He glared at the black iron puppet. You got it, Yin Hui answered with a serious countenance. He nodded. It's because of that black iron puppet. He's brought it out from the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard. Nu Lang's majestic body was shaken. Divine light shot out from his eyes as he was scrutinizing Shi Yan. Shi Yan smiled, bent down to greet him, then said with manners, Greeting, Precursor Nu Lang. Haha, I didn't expect we would meet up again that fast. The Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard has always been the forbidden place on the ocean floor. Thousands of years have been passed, and countless strong warriors had buried themselves in there. No one was lucky enough to come back alive. Nu Lang's eyes shone with radiant light. Why could you survive that place and even brought out with you such an intimidating black iron puppet? Good fortune. Shi Yan's visage was serious. The antiquity lofty dragon and I had some relationship in the ancient times. It's destined that I could enter that dark place. This black iron puppet belongs to the antiquity. Why I can have it now is all about my fate. Nu Lang was surprised. In Hui just shook his head while beaming a forced smile. He both admired and envied Shi Yan. Nu Lang mused for a while, then sighed. Is it real destiny? The antiquity lofty dragon graveyard has buried many of my ancestors, but now its mysteries cracked by a human. Perhaps you little fella have some connection with our sea tribes, eh? Shi Yan was amazed. He had never thought about this. He was hesitant, then shook his head. I'm not sure. Anyway, this antiquity lofty dragon graveyard does have a connection with the ancient existence. I can't tell the details. I can only say that my fortune isn't bad. Nu Lang and In Hui frowned, seriously considering the hidden meaning in his words. Later, Nu Lang faced up to check the sky as his eyes squinted to a line. Seems like I am not the only one who recognized the strange event here. It's unexpected that the great two warriors of the Vault of Heaven Sea area are coming too. The seawater was split apart as two figures descended one after another from above. The Queen of Heaven, the Emperor of Earth, Qing Ming, Gu Xiao, Panja, and Chao Jilan, who had fled away in fear, appeared behind them. However, they didn't dare to move forward, just staying behind the other two to observe the situation. Yang Yitian, Xia Qingho. Inhui took a look and got shocked, exclaiming. Shi Yan's eyes brightened as he hurriedly looked up. A naturally handsome, elegant, middle-aged man was plunging down quietly, wearing a purple gown accompanied with a feathered crest. His face held a tender smile. Hall Master of the Martial Spirit Palace, Yang Yitian, an overlord of a part of the Endless Sea. An old man wearing hemp garments and straw sandals followed him. That man was old and wrinkled, but he had a distant, deep green, old aura. He was the former master of the Xia family, Xia Qingho. The two most outstanding warriors of the Vault of Heaven Sea area appeared from the sea surface. After they arrived, they all looked at Nu Lang with surprised eyes. Seemed like they'd assumed that Nu Lang was the one who had initiated all these things. It wasn't me. Nu Lang was calm as he snorted, then shifted his line of sight to Shi Yan. Yang Yitian's and Xia Qingho's pupils shrank. They then eyed Shi Yan with surprised and disbelieving countenances. Yang Yitian had gawked for a while, then ceased the smile on his face. He closed his eyes to sense something, then shouted all of a sudden. Who killed Situ Jianzhong Li Dun? Me. Shi Yan bent his body slightly, smiled and clasped his hands. Shi Yan, a junior, greeting Precursor Yang. He paused for a while, then continued his smile, looking at Xia Qingho. His manner was more sincere. We meet here, great-grandfather Xia. The senile face of Xia Qingho cracked a smile. His attitude was tender. He walked towards Shi Yan, his eyes shining. You are Shi Yan? Yes. Good boy. Good boy. Good. Xia Qingho said good 3 times consecutively. Then, he appeared next to Shi Yan, standing opposite Yang Yitian. The Xia family and the Yang family always had a good relation. Xia Qingho and Yang Tian Emperor were close friends for 100 years. He also knew about Shi Yan and Xia Xian Yan's relationship from the juniors of the Xia family. After he had recovered, he always paid attention to Shi Yan, as he knew well what Shi Yan done during these years in the Endless Sea. In his eyes, Shi Yan was a family member, Xia Xian Yan's fiancé. Even the reason why he could recover that fast was related to Shi Yan. Of course, he and Shi Yan stood in the same boat. Hall Master Yang, Xia Qingho smiled, his face contemplating. Seems like you guys had sent someone to kill Shi Yan, but you didn't have good fortune. Yeah, first, I'd like to express my opinion. No matter what, I'm on the same side as Shi Yan. If you want to deal with him, I will definitely not just stand and stare. Precursor Yang, Shi Yan curled his lips. Forgive my childish, arrogant words, but if you want to kill me, it should be a little bit difficult here. Then, his thought flickered. sending his message to the war devil. The war devil was still hiding its aura. After receiving Shi Yan's thought, it started to stroll towards Yang Tian. A murderous, earth-destroying aura like the immense water of the endless sea gushed out from the war devil, instantly covering the whole territory of the Silver Shark clan. Yang Tian's face changed dramatically. Nu Lang frowned. Xia Qingho's eyes brightened. The three real heroes of the land and the undersea had different facial expressions. I still don't understand why you guys are still fighting against each other, even though we're all warriors of the endless sea. Shi Yan's face darkened. When I was in Yuan Luosi area, the demon dwellers had struggled to kill me, which I can understand. But why do you guys want to destroy me? It has repeated many times. Their attitude is like they can't live well if they can't eradicate me. Precursor Yang, could you elaborate the reasons? The ones who want to kill you include Gu Xiao, Dongfang Ju, and Qing Ming. Yang Tian snorted coldly. I'm just watching. Although you seem to have unpredictable potential, I didn't put you in my eyes. But now, it's different. You'd killed Situ Jia and Zhongli Dun. Even if I'm an easy person, I can't spare your life. Then, a divine light flashed in Yang Tian's eyes. Electric currents were weaving inside that divine light as they rapidly shot toward Shi Yan. Seven-colored nirvana light. Xia Qingho shouted, then said coldly, Yang Tian, you dare? Chapter 473, Imposing. Chapter 473, Imposing. Rumors said that Chao Qiu Dao, Yang Tian, and Yang Tian Emperor had fallen into a space crack when they were young. There, they found the corpse of a god king. Chao Qiu Dao and Yang Tian Emperor had the essence blood of the god king, while Yang Tian had a beam of the god king's divine soul. The dead body of a god king had helped create the three peerless warriors of the endless sea. Chao Qiu Dao and Yang Tian had had their competences thrived massively, as they had the ability to provoke opponents who had higher realms than them. Yang Tian entered the second sky of spirit realm, and he also had fantastic advances in knowing several intimidating soul techniques. The seven-colored nirvana light was one of the scary soul techniques that he had learned. This soul technique could perish someone's soul. Once it jumped into the other's sea of consciousness, it could easily find the host's soul and use the nirvana light to destroy it. Yang Tian had depended on the seven-colored nirvana light to swagger in endless sea. So many warriors had their souls scattered because of this seven-colored nirvana light. It was the signature skill of Yang Tian. As Xia Qingho saw the light shoot out from the other's eye, he immediately got what the other wanted to do, projecting divine light from his eyes. Marvelous light beams, one blue and one purple, turned into two electric dragons tangling and wiggling with each other. They then spurted out two purple and blue light balls that vehemently shot towards the seven-colored nirvana light. In the seawater, the seven-colored light and the blue-purple dragons attacked each other, but no impact was generated. However, the faces of Yang Tian and Xia Qingho changed frequently. Strange light flashed unceasingly in their pupils, just like meteors showering inside their eyes. Xia Qingho used to enter the dark magnetic noxious mist. In the bog that Shi Yan found the king of demonic insects, he got the last crystal-clear god soul bead. After years of living in isolation to perceive the subtle mysteries in the bead, he had broken through the second sky of spirit realm, and also obtained some bizarre and unpredictable soul techniques. It could be said that both Yang Tian and Xia Qingho had a good grasp of soul techniques. They were both at the second sky of spirit realm, and both borrowed external force and fortuitous encounters. Because of Shi Yan, the two of them, who were like water in the well and river which never met, started to join the competition on soul techniques. Nu Lang and Yin Hui, the two patriarchs of the sea tribes, were watching the two peak warriors of the endless sea using soul technique to fight against each other. They showed their interest with an attentive look on their faces. The two soul techniques were cast out, but they didn't shake anything as expected. The seawater was still calm. Even Yang Tian and Xia Qingho kept a calm complexion. However, deep inside their pupils, a bursting light was blooming, which shook people's hearts, dragging their souls in it. It seemed even to attract people's host souls, making it want to get out of the sea of consciousness. Only if they released their soul consciousness and attached it onto the fight could they know how miraculous this soul fight was. Otherwise, they would never know the subtle details of it. All of a sudden, light ceased in Yang Etion's and Xia Qingho's eyes. The divine light was retrieved. Xia Qingho let out a slight cough, and his face slightly changed. It seemed like he bore the disadvantage this time. He snorted, "Hall Master Yang, you're an overlord of an area. Even so, you use soul technique to attack Shi Yin without any prior warning. This deed doesn't seem good. An eye for an eye. It's right and unalterable." Yang Etion's brows slammed together. Situ Jia was the #1 consecrator of our martial spirit palace. He had contributed much to the martial spirit palace. He got killed, so of course, I have to obtain justice for him. Zhongli Dun was the one we were nurturing for our future, and Shi Yin killed him too. If you were me, would you let it go? Well, although you guys want to kill him, do you think he would just hand over his neck like that? Xia Qingho sneered, looking at the group of Qingming and Gu Xiao, speaking up with disdain. What a pity. 6 Spirit Realm warriors took action, but 2 of them got killed while the others had to run for their lives. Haven't you lost your face? Nu Lang and Yin Hui were watching the situation with joy. Precursor Yang, do you really think that you could kill me instantly using soul technique? At this moment, Shi Yin suddenly curled his lips, shook his head, and said coldly, "When I was in Barren City, Baowen did the same. Then, his soul consciousness was burned to ash. In front of the Silver Stone Fort, Situ Jia and Zhou Yinfeng did the same. I think Precursor Yin Hui knows their results." Yang Etion's face darkened and couldn't help but look at Yin Hui. Nu Lang and Xia Qingho were surprised, also looking at him. I was staying in the dark to observe the battle in Barren City, and I didn't miss any small details of the battle in front of the Silver Stone Fort. Under the attentive looks of the 3 great warriors, Yin Hui wore a solemn face and nodded affirmatively. Forgive my frankness, but any soul technique or soul consciousness that jumps into Shi Yan's sea of consciousness would disappear into thin air. Hall Master Yang, if you want to do that, haha, I think you will have to face the same consequence. Yang Etion's eyes flared up with cold light. Were Baowen and Situ Jia's levels able to be compared with mine? It wasn't that he didn't believe, but he had his arrogance. In such a vast sea like the Endless Sea, if one talked about the biggest achievement in understanding the souls, no doubt that it belonged to Yang Etion. He was the best in Endless Sea, and everybody acknowledged him. Baowen, Situ Jia, and Zhou Yinfeng were far behind compared to him. He believed in his cultivation base and his deep understanding of soul. Once he used his soul technique, whatever trick Shi Yin had, he could hardly avoid death. If you don't believe me, just try. Shi Yin laughed, shaking his head. Anyway, if Precursor Yang's soul consciousness gets hurt, don't blame me that I didn't give you a warning beforehand. Arrogant. Yang Etion shouted. Don't. Xia Qingho hurriedly stopped them. It's okay. Shi Yin smiled to comfort them. Great-Grandpa Xia, don't worry. I have my plan. Haha, I do want to see if his soul technique could destroy the power of the 9 Serenities soul-devouring flame or not. The 9 Serenities soul-devouring flame. Yang Etion, Nu Lang, Xia Qingho, and Yin Hui discolored on hearing that. Their eyes shot out a panic-stricken light. Yeah, it's the heaven flame that can burn all kinds of soul, the 9 Serenities devouring soul flame. Shi Yin curled his lips. Precursor Yang, do you want to try? Yang Etion discolored, standing dumbfounded without the intention to act recklessly. It was the name of the heaven flame which had been famous for thousands of years in the entire Endless Sea, even though each heaven flame had their own unpredictable miracle effects. The ice-cold flame was extremely cold. The purgatory true flame came from the purgatory, which was the best fiery flame to forge weapons. The vanishing corpse flame could control corpses and could even turn living humans into corpse slaves. The 9 Serenities devouring soul flame was the fiery flame that could destroy souls. It could burn down souls of all kinds of creatures and even divine sense or thoughts. Many legends about the nine serenities' soul-devouring flame had soon been spread out all over the endless sea. This flame appeared in numerous rumors, but no one ever heard that it had a master. Due to its particularity, no warrior dared to let it stay inside his host soul in the sea of consciousness. The heaven flame that could burn down the soul consciousness of the host soul, how could someone get it integrated into his soul? But Shi Yin had claimed that he kept the nine serenities' devouring soul flame in his sea of consciousness. Was it true? In legends, no one had ever broken the barrier. Did he really have such an eccentric change? Yang Yitian didn't believe it, neither do Xiaqing Ho. But Nu Lang and Yin Hui believed him. Thousands of years had passed, and everyone who entered the lofty dragon graveyard had to die. But he came back alive. Moreover, he brought out with him a terrifying black iron puppet. If he could break one legend, it wouldn't be a surprise if he could break another one. Nu Lang and Yin Hui exchanged looks. Their faces were bizarre. Well, if you don't believe it, you can try. Shi Yin didn't exaggerate, just smiled. Currently, the dark dwellers and the demon dwellers are raging in the endless sea. I just don't want Precursor Yang get his soul hurt because of me. Honestly, I don't like Precursor Yang, but I know that keeping you safe is better for the whole picture of the endless sea. So, I want to remind you, don't take risks. Yang Yitian's face darkened, but people couldn't see anything from his complexion. You can't kill me directly using soul technique. And, with this black puppet here, you can't kill me physically. What is the use for to linger here? Shi Yin pitched his voice, smiled, and said calmly, the endless sea's really busy, you know? Yeah, forgive me if I can't see you off. I think we will meet again soon. At that time, I hope that Precursor Yang would be well prepared. Lifting his head, Shi Yin screamed again. Oh yeah, I killed Zhou Yinfeng too. He's the Chao's man. Perhaps you would want to visit Chao Qiu Dao too. Then, he squinted his eyes, looking at Chao Lan on the sea surface, talking to her with a cold voice. Miss Chao, take care. Chao Lan felt cold as if his cold voice had absorbed into her body and stiffened it. Shi Yan's performance had torn off all of her defenses. At this moment, she only felt helpless. She thought that they could kill Shi Yan instantly, but he had brought with him a terrifying black puppet from the lofty dragon graveyard. And now, he didn't show fear even on facing the peak warriors of the endless sea. Shi Yan's performance gave her an untrue feeling. She suddenly had a feeling that she had missed the chance which she would regret for the rest of her life. I hope that you could stay that complacent for a long time. Yang Yitian restored his original calm countenance. He nodded at Shi Yin. It's true. You can see the endless sea situation now. For the time being, I won't interfere in your business. I think your existence could be one of our advantages too. Shi Yin frowned. The Kiara Sea is in the hands of the Dark Dwellers. I think it's time for the Yang family to think about how to take back your territory. Yang Yitian squinted his eyes. I'm waiting for your good news. Then, he glared at Shi Yin one last time before flying up to the sea surface, gathering with Gu Zhao's group. Soon, those people disappeared from the seabed. On the seabed, only Shi Yin, Yin Hui, Nu Lang, and Xiaqing Ho were left outside the lofty dragon graveyard. Chapter 474, Boldness. Chapter 474, Boldness. Nu Lang, Xiaqing Ho, and Yin Hui were dumbstruck, eyeing Shi Yin and the war devil. All of a sudden, their minds were filled with strange emotions. Shi Yan's growing speed was too amazing. No warrior in the endless sea could be like him, thriving to his current powerful realm in such a short time. A young Sky Realm warrior with extraordinary backup went beyond their imagination. At his Sky Realm, he could borrow external forces to compete against the Spirit Realm warriors. And now, he had brought with him a war devil from the lofty dragon graveyard. The power of a war devil could be compared to a third sky of Spirit Realm warrior. Besides, he had the ice-cold flame, the earth flame, the nine serenities soul-devouring flame, the king of demonic insects, and the devouring gold silkworm. Any of these on a typical warrior was enough to surprise people. But he had them all. Shi Yin, where is Xine Yin? Xia Qingho mused for a while and couldn't help but admire Shi Yin in his heart. But still, he asked the matter he worried about the most. Shi Yin's calm face changed when he heard the question. What happened? Xia Qingho raised his eyebrow. She didn't come with you? I heard that she had visited the dark magnetic noxious mist, too. Didn't you say that you've come back from there? Did you meet her? People from the Pure Land took her to the Divine Great Land. Shi Yin calmly told them what Yichang Feng told him. Pure Land. Xia Qingho's face was cold as cold halo radiated from his eyes. They want to revive Xian Yan's soul of the previous life. This means death to her. I'm not gonna allow it. The Pure Land's much stronger than the Endless Sea, Shi Yin sighed. As far as I've known, there are true God Realm warriors among the 7 old factions in the Divine Great Land. I have to admit that the Endless Sea's forces are one level lower than the Divine Great Lands. Although Yin Hui and Nu Lang were dwelling on the seabed under the Endless Sea, they knew something about the Divine Great Land. Hearing Shi Yin talking about the place, they all showed interest and listened to him seriously. Shi Yin didn't conceal anything, frowned and said, Great-Grandpa Xia, don't worry too much about Xian Yin. We always have solutions. Xian Yin will be okay for the time being. After we're done with the stuff in Endless Sea, I'll go to the Divine Great Land and bring her back from the Pure Land. According to you, the Pure Land's one of the 7 ancient factions of the Divine Great Land, and they have true God Realm warriors. Do you really have any solution? Xia Qingho wore a worried face, shaking his head. If we want her back, I have to go there. With only you, I'm afraid it would be difficult to make them nod their heads. I have my means. What? Shi Yin took a deep breath, looking at Xia Qingho, then said, Great-Grandpa Xia, in the exotic land of the dark magnetic noxious mist, you got a crystal clear bead of God's soul. I wonder if you've ever heard about the life original fluid? Xia Qingho was surprised. Yin Hui and Nu Lang had their eyes brightened at the same time. I heard that the life original fluid's there. Xia Qingho nodded. Seems like it's because of the life original fluid that the boy Yichang Feng gave me the vein spirit pellet. Anyway, when I was there, I didn't see such a miraculous thing. Why you mention it? I have it. Xia Qingho and the others were shaken. Their eyes brightened. I really have it here. Shi Yin smiled, looking at Yin Hui with guilt in his eyes. I hid the truth from you because I wasn't sure I could keep the life original fluid. Cough, don't say that I'm too cautious. You and Nu Lang are both peak warriors, and the life original fluid appears to be a big deal. I'm afraid you guys. Yin Hui forced a smile and nodded. I understand. Nu Lang's eyes were shining, eyeing him without blinking. You really have it? Yes. Nu Lang was so joyful he almost went crazy. Among the others, only he had broken through to the 3rd sky of Spirit Realm, just one step away from the true God Realm. At this moment, the only thing he needed was a drop of the life original fluid, which would enhance his guts entering the true God Realm. It wasn't necessary to discuss the significance of the life original fluid to him. Once he entered the true God Realm, Nu Lang would become the legend of thousands of years on the seabed. His future wouldn't be limited in the seabed of the Endless Sea, and his world would change accordingly. The true God Realm was the realm of the genuine gods. The Spirit Realm was just the false gods' realm. They were definitely different, and the gap between them was hard to cross. Once he could pass over it, he would become God. But if he couldn't, he would just be a false god. Nu Lang's desire for the life original fluid was much bigger than that of having an area in the Endless Sea. Why did you decide to disclose it now? Yin Hui also had an excited face. Shi Yin, tell us what you want to exchange for the life original fluid. Do you really have it? Xia Qingho was also stirred up. He was at the 2nd sky of Spirit Realm, and soon, he would reach Nu Lang's realm. With a drop of the life original fluid, he would have a more substantial chance to enter the true God Realm. Thinking about this temptation, he couldn't hold it. The Spirit Realm warriors often would have lived for more than 100 years. Usually, they shouldn't be stirred up that easy. However, the life original fluid was a kind of treasure they had been yearning for so long. This made these old men unable to control their emotions. There's a reason for me to say so, Shi Yin smiled. Great-Grandpa Xia, with 1 drop of the life original fluid, I think it isn't hard to ask the people of the Pure Land to give back our people. Xia Qingho nodded. The Pure Land's one of the 7 ancient factions of the Divine Great Land. Of course, they should have some warriors at the 3rd sky of Spirit Realm. I think they know how precious a drop of the life original fluid is. Thus, don't worry. I said I would have plans to bring Xian Yin out of the Pure Land. Shi Yin comforted the old man. Wait until we're done with the stuff in Endless Sea. I'll visit the Divine Great Land. Just wait and see. I have my own means. Good boy. Xia Qingho smiled with shining eyes. He nodded. Yang Tian Emperor does have good fortune. As for you guys, he wanted to say something to Nu Lang and Yin Hui, but he didn't finish it. Say it. Nu Lang was trying to press down his excitement and spoke up casually. As long as it doesn't require me to betray the sea tribes, anything can be negotiated. Of course, I don't dare to force you to damage yourself or your reputation. Shi Yin was happy, but he was talking with solemn face. The Kiara Sea belongs to us. I want to take it back. Nu Lang relaxed his face. Yin Hui was bewildered for a while, then said, if it's the only request, no problem with our Silver Shark clan. Members of the Yang family are still in the demon area. My great-grandpa's doing well there. Perhaps he's seizing the chance to invade the demon area. For the time being, he won't be back in the Endless Sea. What? Nu Lang, Yin Hui, and Xia Qingho stammered in fear. The news about Yang Tian Emperor had been confined in demon area had soon spread over the Endless Sea, but the news of his escape was totally hidden. That's why some members of the sea tribes dared to plan their wild schemes on Barren City. If they had known that Yang Tian Emperor had escaped from the Demon King's confinement, they would have never conspired against Barren City. As they heard the earth-shaking news from Shi Yin, Nu Lang, Yin Hui, and even Xia Qingho were frightened. I'm sure this is real. Shi Yin smiled. Don't be startled. I think my great-grandpa has something he's arranged for the demon area. Currently, I can't borrow the force from the Yangs much. Anyway, with the help from the Black Flood Dragon clan and the Silver Shark clan, plus great-grandpa Xia, and yeah, perhaps I can also contact the Three Gods sect. With this combined force, I think it won't be tough to take back the Kiara Sea. Nu Lang and Yin Hui were surprised. Xia Qingho shouted with low tone. You also have a connection with the Three Gods sect? Yeah, my relation with Tang Yuan Nam isn't bad. Also, I have some old origin shared with Ouyang Luo Shuang. Shi Yin nodded. With these relationships and the life original fluid, I think it shouldn't be hard to ask for using people of the Three Gods sect. Moreover, taking back the Kiara Sea also gives the Three Gods sect a position here. And, in the future, I would pay back the favor by helping them deal with the demon dwellers in Yuan Luo Sea. Kid, not bad. Xia Qingho nodded continually. I won't ask you to do things for free. Shi Yin mused for a while, then his face stiffened. The dark water territories of fertile land. If you sea tribes help us, after the Endless Sea is secured and the dark dwellers and the demon dwellers are killed, besides 2 drops of the life original fluid, I will offer you the dark water territory. Nu Lang and Yin Hui had their eyes brightened. Xia Qingho's face slightly changed as he frowned. Shi Yin. The dark water territory belongs to the Holy God sect, the Spirit Treasure Wonderland, and the Heaven Lake Holy Land. These 3 forces have been battling against me. Yeah, they are weak though. In my eyes, they can't keep the dark water territory in the future. Shi Yan's face was dark and cold. They are unkind to me, so I won't be polite either. In the future, of course, the Endless Sea would have a great change. I can see the dark water become the sea tribe's territory. What do you think? He looked at Nu Lang and Yin Hui. Aren't you afraid that thousands of people would insult you? Nu Lang knitted his brows. Although some people from your human race have been cooperating with our sea tribes, until now, they don't allow us to get to the surface of the sea area. Thousands of years have passed by, and you guys have never allowed us to visit the blue ocean. If you do so, aren't you afraid that the warriors of the Endless Sea would unite and protest against you? They would say that you have united with alien tribes to deal with your own kind. Aren't you afraid of them? I think the ones who could scold me should have already visited hell by that time. Shi Yin smirked. Nu Lang, Yin Hui, and Xia Qingho gave him a deep look as they all sighed inside. This kid was vicious enough. Chapter 475, Final Decision. Chapter 475, Final Decision. Great-Grandpa Xia, you should be more open-minded. Shi Yin hesitated, then smiled. If the dark dwellers and the demon dwellers bury themselves in endless sea, the demon area and the underworld would become the places where no one lives. Haha, losing the dark water territory but earning the demon area and the underworld, you tell me. Aren't there a little bit profits here? Xia Qingho was shaken as a strange light shot out from his eyes. Kid, you're young, but you do have strong wild schemes. Cruel and merciless, such a character. Nu Lang took a deep breath. Your appetite's bigger than Chao Qiu Dao's and Yang Yi Tian's. I didn't expect that you have dreamed about the demon area and the underworld too. Sigh, it's unbelievable that the Yang family has another freak like you besides Yang Tian Emperor. Although you sea tribes can leave the sea surface, it should be a bit difficult if you leave endless sea for a long time. Shi Yin smiled, his face deliberate. You shouldn't consider the demon area and the underworld. These places aren't suitable for your sea tribes to live. The seawater there is also different from the Grace mainland. Well, you're sure that our sea tribes can't earn a living in the demon area and the underworld. That's why you offer so. Yin Hui snorted with irritation. It's true, Shi Yin didn't deny. Nu Lang and Yin Hui fell into silence. Shi Yin wasn't hurried, smiled and waited for them calmly. I would agree with your conditions and help you take back the Kiara Sea. However, I want to see the life original fluid first. Nu Lang mused, wanting to confirm the fact that Shi Yin had the life original fluid. Yin Hui also showed his longing face. No problem, Shi Yin was frank and straightforward. He contacted the king of demonic insects in the blood vein ring, sending his thought. After the king of demonic insects got a drop of immortal blood from him, their relationship had become more harmonious. Having heard his call, it came out from the blood vein ring, opened its mouth and spurred out a crystal lotus throne. A bottle stood amid the crystal lotus throne, holding some sort of white liquid. Heartbeats reverberated clear and loud from this white substance. This bottle wasn't big, and Shi Yin took the chance to glare at it. He found that the bottle kept around 10 drops of life original fluid. Each drop had the heart shape with robust heartbeats sounding out. They were all radiating a milky white halo, which made them look like a strong, micro heart. Extremely marvelous. Divine light sparkled in Nu Lang's, Yin Hui's and Xia Qingho's eyes as they were eyeing the bottle on the crystal lotus throne. As the three of them had spirit realm cultivation base, they had unique recognition of strange things. At first glance, they knew how miraculous the liquid inside the bottle was. Not bad. The rumor's true. Xia Qingho affirmed first, his face surprised and happy. Each drop of the life original fluid seems to have its own vitality. I can hear the vigorous heartbeats. From its look, I can tell it's the life original fluid. Yin Hui nodded continually. As you've said, it's the life original fluid. Shi Yin sent his thought again. The king of demonic insects opened its mouth, swallowed the crystal lotus throne, and disappeared into the blood vein ring. Shi Yin then looked at Nu Lang, smiled and asked, Precursor Nu Lang, do you have further doubts? All right, Nu Lang spoke up with a serious face. I'm going back to the Black Flood Dragon clan and arrange things. As for the details, we need to talk and act together, okay? You can contact my big uncle Yangzhua. I'll go to the sea surface and contact people from the Three Gods sect. Shi Yin smiled. Don't worry. I'll have a sufficient force to annihilate the dark dwellers in a flash. Right? I'll arrange the business of my clan and then find Yangzhua, nodded Nu Lang. Yin Hui said the same. However, he was a little bit hesitant. If the Water Scorpion tribe and the Naga tribe also want to join us, how about this life original fluid? Shi Yin shook his head. I didn't count them in this. Yin Hui frowned. I don't want to waste it, Shi Yin considered. On the seabed, the Black Flood Dragon clan and the Silver Shark clan are the strongest tribes, much stronger than the Water Scorpion tribe and the Naga tribe. With your help, the Xia family and the Three Gods sect, together with me, and this black iron puppet, taking the Kiara Sea isn't a big deal. We don't need more people. How about the dark water territory? Probed Yin Hui. Wait until we finish the Kiara Sea's matter. Then I will see if your sea tribes have good wills. Shi Yin was serious. If you guys want the dark water territory, we will need forces in the future. Yeah, the demon dwellers are in the endless sea, too. It would be a conflict at that time. If you want to claim good things, you should think about the next steps. Nu Lang's and Yin Hui's eyes sparkled, their faces complicated. A while after that, Nu Lang nodded but didn't discuss anything else. He regarded Yin Hui, then they left together. Shi Yin, your ambitious heart isn't small, Xia Qingho exclaimed after Nu Lang and Yin Hui had left. In fact, I have no ambition, Shi Yin burst out laughing. I just don't want to leave the ones who want to deal with me live with ease. No matter it's the endless sea, the demon area, or the underworld, I don't have the desire to take them. However, the Yang family has treated me well. I have plenty free time at this moment, so I should do something to repay their favors. I heard that you came from the quiet cloud. Yes, Shi Yan's eyes glittered, then slowly nodded. The reason why he wanted to stir the rain and the wind in Endless Sea was for the Yangs on one hand, and on the other hand, because of the guilt towards Shi Jin and the others in the quiet cloud. Since he had descended in the Grace mainland, the Shi family had considered him their successor. No matter it was Shi Jin, Shi Tai, or Shi Dang, they all took care of him, trusted him, and treated him like a member of their family. The Shi family dwelled in the Merchant Union. The warriors there were normal, and the aura of the earth and firmament wasn't as good as the Endless Sea. They didn't even have a spirit realm warrior. After he had seen the wealth of the Endless Sea and the peak prosperous time of the Divine Great Land, he had determined that he should come up with the plan to bring the Shi family out of the Merchant Union of the Quiet Cloud and get them to the Endless Sea, or even the Divine Great Land. He should find the best place for their cultivation. Only if the Endless Sea regained its peace and the Yang family held the absolute overlord position in Endless Sea, the Shi family could have no worries and move there from the Merchant Union. At that time, he could ease his mind and enter the Divine Great Land to learn the peak knowledge from the true warriors of the Grace mainland. Great-Grandpa Xia, do you want to visit Barren City? Oh, no. Xia Qingho contemplated for a while, then showed his worries. I've just turned my back on Yang Etian. I'm afraid he would do something behind my back. I have to go back to control the situation. When you have everything planned, send someone to notify me. I'll know how to cooperate with you. The reincarnation island of the Xia families also in the Kiara Sea. I want to take it back soon. All right, I'm going back to Barren City and talk to my big uncle. Keep in touch. Okay. Shi Yin bid farewell to the old man on the seabed. He then walked with his black iron puppet, leaving the graveyard and heading to Barren City. 7 days later, he got to Barren City, returning to the Yang family in the city. Since Yang Zhua and the others knew that he would be going to the Antiquity Lofty Dragon graveyard, they couldn't help but worry about him. Now, as they saw him coming back, everybody was happy and surprised, chirping around him to ask about his experience of this trip. Shi Yin just smiled and didn't say anything. He waited until they finished and started. I'm okay. I got a war devil there. He pointed to the black iron puppet. War devil? Yang Zhua and Zhang Mu frowned, looking at the black iron puppet. Really dangerous, eh? Yang Zhua couldn't hold but ask. Shi Yin confirmed with a nod. Really dangerous. How dangerous is it? Li Feng raised her brows, giggling. He killed Situ Jie, Zhou Yufeng, and Zhong Li Dun. Everybody was shaken, extremely frightened. No kidding. Yang Mu was panic-stricken. Shaking his head, Shi Yin smiled. No kidding. He paused for a while, then explained. If this war devil urges all of his strength, he would be able to confront Nu Lang directly. Won't be defeated, I guess. Everybody was dumbfounded on hearing him. On the seabed, Nu Lang was an invincible existence. Every single member of the sea tribes or human race knew how tremendous Nu Lang's power was. He was the best warrior who was acknowledged by everyone. And now, Shi Yin said that this black iron puppet had the ability to confront Nu Lang directly. Everybody thought he was crazy. Nu Lang and Yin Hui agreed to join hands with us and help us take back the Kiara Sea. Shi Yin threw them another bomb. Yang Zhua and the other members of the Yang family all wore an extremely awkward face, gazing at him like they were looking at a monster. I'm not joking with you guys, Shi Yin said seriously, but Yang Zhua and the others kept their dumbstruck complexion. Well, it happened like this. From their appearance, Shi Yin knew they couldn't accept the event. He had no choice but wear a forced smile and tell them in detail. After he had finished, Yang Zhua and the others gradually restored themselves, believing in his words. We didn't expect that you could have the miraculous life original fluid from the dark magnetic noxious mist. Fella, you do have good fortune. Yang Mu exclaimed with an admiring face. No wonder why Nu Lang and the others were frank and straightforward. Seems it's mainly because of the life original fluid. Yang was shot right at the critical detail. Big uncle, you guys just stay on the seabed. The current situation will change soon. Don't worry. Shi Yin smiled. I'm going back to the sea surface to find Tang Yuan Nam of the Three Gods sect. We have a good relationship. If he helps me now, we will repay his favor later. I think he won't deny me. With the forces from the Three Gods sect, the Black Flood Dragon clan, the Silver Shark clan, and the Xia family, we can easily get back to the Kiara Sea. The Yangs was roused. Seems like you don't need your great-grandpa returning to Endless Sea to help us take back what belongs to us. Yang Zhua smiled, patting Shi Yan's shoulder. Bringing you here from the quiet cloud was our best decision. You're truly the lucky charm of our Yang family. Chapter 476, Strong Wind. Chapter 476, Strong Wind. The Dark Water Territory, Holy Water Island. This island was the sacred place of the Heaven Lake Holy Land. Legends said that the Holy Water Island had a heaven lake, which kept the holy water. Soaking a newborn in the heaven lake for a whole 49 days could help wash all the impurities in the body, enhance tendons and meridians, and completely change the baby. This would give an ordinary baby the innate talent, which was pretty good for its cultivation later. The Holy Water Island was located on the sacred mountain of the Heaven Lake Holy Land. More than 10 warriors were sitting on the bench with a gloomy face. Qing Ming, the Queen of Heaven, Gu Shao, the Emperor of Earth, Wu Qin, Qiu Sun, and the cult master of the Holy God sect, Ling Mei, were the ones leading the forces of Endless Sea. They gathered there, but their hearts seemed to be pressed by a huge stone, which was exceptionally heavy. Is he really dangerous? Keeping silent for a long while, Qiu Sun from the Spirit Treasure Wonderland sighed and asked Gu Shao. Gu Shao beamed a forced smile, shook his head and said begrudgingly, he alone is dangerous already. But now it's not only that. From the Antiquity Lofty Dragon Graveyard, he brought out a tremendously intimidating black iron puppet. Honestly, I still can't believe it. It's just a simple-looking black iron puppet, but it has a scary evil power. Zui Yufeng and Situ Jie died in its hands, as soft as a block of tofu. They couldn't bear even a strike. Everybody sank into silence again after his words were uttered. Zui Yufeng and Situ Jie were both famous warriors in Endless Sea with their spirit realm cultivation base, just like everybody else here. The black iron puppet had killed them easily, which meant that everybody else here would face a deadly consequence if they met Shi Yin. It's not long after. Wu Qin wore a bitter complexion then sighed. We shouldn't mess with him. The trouble's blown up now. According to you, even Hall Master Yang couldn't control him. In this immense endless sea, who could subdue him then? I think if we use individual power, no one in Endless Sea can do anything to him. The Queen of Heaven Fan Xiang Yun was hesitant and couldn't help but admit it begrudgingly. At present, Shi Yin was the biggest freak of the Endless Sea, and the word genius wasn't enough to describe him. Everybody sank into silence. Did Hall Master Yang say anything about this? The cult master of the Holy God sect Ling Mei had short hair, each of it raising sparklingly. He looked young and handsome, with an evil, eccentric aura. However, he had the calmest look among them. Xia Qingho protects him wholly. Nu Lang and Yin Hui were also there. That kid has the 9 serenities soul-devouring flame. As Hall Master Yang couldn't use his soul technique to kill him in an instant, nothing else was there that he could do. Gu Shao explained. The others then sobered up. It seems that the most unpredictable factor of the future of the Endless Sea is this man. Ling Mei took a cold breath, mused for a long while before speaking up again. He's younger than anyone else. At such young age, he has the realm and the power that frightens people. I think we should be more careful. Jing Yanqing sat neatly and listened to them without intervening. Through what Gu Shao and the others had shared, although she hadn't witnessed the fight with her own eyes, she could imagine the deep impression Shi Yin had brought to them. That year, Shi Yin had stunned people by fighting against Mo Chi Ta. It was just 1 year, and now he dared to provoke Yang Yi Tian. How amazing a progress had he made? She didn't know why she felt refreshed and content seeing many overlords of the endless seaside in distress. She even had schadenfreude to a certain extent. The stronger Shi Yin progressed, the more excited she was. Any reactions from Cao Qiu Dao? Asked Wu Qin. Nothing up till now, the Queen of Heaven said after thinking. Xiao Lan hasn't got back to the Tuda Sea, perhaps. However, the Master of the Chao should have known the news by now. He can communicate with Hall Master Yang. I think that if anything arises, he will talk with Hall Master Yang first. Just wait for now. Zui Yufeng and Situ Jie were their men. With their nature, they wouldn't stay idle for long, Gu Shao nodded. But the current situation of the Endless Sea isn't good. Wu Qin shook his head. The Dark Dwellers and the Demon Dwellers are pressing closer. If we spend more workforce on Shi Yin, it would be strenuous to resist the invasion of the Dark Dwellers and the Demon Dwellers. If the Sea Tribes are willing to join us, every difficulty will be solved easily. Fan Xiangyun furrowed her brows. Too bad that Nu Lang and Yin Hui always keep their mouths shut. They haven't revealed any intention that they would cooperate with us. I think these two aren't friendly. If the Sea Tribes poke their noses in, the Endless Sea would have something interesting to watch. How about the Three Gods sect? Wu Qin glared at Gu Shao. Stays secluded in their forbidden place in their sea, Gu Shao snorted. Seems Tang Yuan Nan doesn't want to mobilize their force. They only want to secure the Three Gods sect's force. If it isn't the most crucial time, Ouyang Luoshang will never be willing to take action. She's ascetically cultivating in the forbidden place of the Three Gods sect. I think they hide the malicious intent behind their fair countenances. We shouldn't lay any hopes on them. The Three Gods sect appreciates Shi Yin. It's natural that they won't help us deal with Shi Yin this time. Wu Qin shook his head. If the Three Gods sect knows of Shi Yan's powers and joins hands with him, there will be a force that no one can deny in the Endless Sea. The Yang family, the Three Gods sect, and the Xia family had the three most prominent characters. Ouyang Luoshang, Shi Yin, and Xia Qin Ho. Those three had the power to battle against any peak warrior. Once they joined hands, the Endless Sea would have a great transformation. Anyway, they hadn't counted the Sea Tribes. If they knew that Nu Lang and Yin Hui also had gotten into an agreement with Shi Yin, it was unknown how frightened they would be. Sigh. It would be best if Shi Yin went the same way as us. Wu Qin was quite distressed. Without that pursuit, perhaps Shi Yin wouldn't be that hostile toward us. With him, we don't need to bear such a headache. Qing Ming, the Queen of Heaven, and the others suddenly discolored. It was because of them, who had persistently wanted to deal with Shi Yin, that everybody turned their back on him. After a series of actions, everybody got involved in it deeply. After 1 year, Shi Yin returned to the Endless Sea and showed his intimidating power that subdued everyone. This made them regret, but they couldn't do anything else. There's no pill for regret. Gu Shao contemplated for a while. Wait and see. I think the Chao's master and Hall Master Yang would have their arrangement soon. Everybody had no choice but to nod. Yuan Luo Sea, in a marvelous place covered by a mysterious halo under the sea of the sun, moon, the Star Islands. A mesmerizing figure stood in the moonlight, taking a bath in a pond. Countless dots of moonlight essence gathered and glinted on her jade porcelain like pure white body. She was standing in the pond like a fairy maiden with an ethereal aura of a holy being. She was the moon god, Ouyang Luoshang. In the moonlight pond, She seemed to not bother with the annoying outer world, nor the raging waves of the endless sea. She was freely enjoying the moonlight entering her body, as she was taking each of her steps with caution on the way to the true goal of a warrior. The flame Qilin appeared from afar with its scorching flame. Tang Yuan sat on his mount, controlling the speed to be not too rapid nor slow as he approached the moonlight pond. The beauty in the moonlit pond frowned. All of a sudden, the moonlight covered her body wholly. Just like the goddess of the Luo River, the beauty slowly flew up from the moonlight pond, her entire body covered in the hazy moonlight. She looked at the other with cold eyes. What's happened? Tang Yuan wore a tender face, slightly bent over, and smiled. I've got some interesting news. Haha, but I'm not sure if it is true or not. Ouyang Luoshang arched her eyebrow, her eyes as beautiful and shining as the stars. She spoke up with clear and chill voice. What news? Shi Yin has returned to the endless sea. So what? I heard that he killed Zui Yufeng, Situ Jia, and even Zhongli Dun on the seabed. Tang Yuan curled his lips into a smile. Ouyang Luoshang's pretty eyes sparkled with strange light. She was astonished for a while before speaking up again. Not quite realistic. I think so. There's no smoke without fire, anyway. My news came from the sacred water island of the Dark Water Sea area. Tang Yuan didn't hurry and just casually explained. I heard that Gu Xiao, Qing Ming, and Wu Qin aren't good now. They are gathering because of Shi Yin, but they couldn't come up with a solution good enough. I even heard that after Shi Yin had killed Situ Jia and Zhongli Dun, Yang Yitian had arrived, but then he came back with nothing. Even he couldn't do anything. Eventually, the beauty couldn't help but let out a slight sigh to show her surprise. He killed Situ Jia and Zhongli Dun, but Yang Yitian had unexpectedly let him go? It seemed like Yang Yitian couldn't do anything to him, explained Tang Yuan. Yang Yitian's the peak warrior of the endless sea. How could he do nothing to him? Apparently, Ouyang Luoshang didn't buy it, shook her head and then burst out laughing. Your disappearance seemed to be a mistake. Even if that fella's strong, it's impossible for him to defeat Yang Yitian. Yeah, don't waste your mind on it. The news you got shouldn't be true, for the most part. I think it could be true. Tang Yuan's face was serious. Can you guess who sent me the news? Who? The Holy Maiden of the Heaven Lake Holy Land? Her? How could it be? I don't know either. I haven't had any connection with her before. She must have it done behind Wu Qin's back. I'm not sure. Is it a plan of the Dark Water Sea area, perhaps? Ouyang Luoshang mused for a while, then shook her head. It's not possible. They won't help that kid enhance his reputation like that. That's why I'm suspicious and puzzled. All of a sudden, at this moment, the teleportation formation at the center of the three gods' sect's holy land glowed. Not long after that, a man appeared in the halo together with a black iron puppet. He then shouted, Precursor Tang, I'm Shi Yin. Can we talk? Tang Yuan was shaken. Chapter 477. Exposing. Chapter 477. Exposing. While they were talking about Shi Yin, Tang Yuan and Ouyang Luoshang were yet to figure out whether or not the rumors were true. But at this moment, the main character of the rumors appeared at the holy place, or the three gods sect. This surprised both of them completely. Tang Yuan used to bring Shi Yin here before. Thus, he wasn't surprised that Shi Yin could come here himself. Anyway, Shi Yin was recently calling wind and rising tides in endless sea. They didn't know if he had settled all the things there to come to this place. This puzzled the two of them. Just asked to verify the news provided by Jing Yinqing. Ouyang Luoshang held an indifferent countenance, frowned, and sent her order to Tang Yuan. Let him come here. He and I haven't met officially. Now, we can have a chance, finally. Tang Yuan nodded cheerfully, laughing. We're here. Come over here. The three gods' sect's sacred area wasn't vast. Since everybody had relatively high realms, they just needed to raise their voices to spread the sound all over the sacred place. The disciples of the three gods sect gathering here heard Shi Yin come, and couldn't help but change their expressions as they silently came closer. Recently, during this year, news related to Shi Yin were always noticed. He had fought against Mo Chi Ta, Qing Ming, the Queen of Heaven and the Emperor of Earth. Each of this series of events was enough to shake the entire endless sea. Many disciples of the Three Gods sect knew his relationship with the Gods sect and considered him the star god. As the god arrived, these disciples, of course, wanted to observe him. One man and one black iron puppet followed Tang Yuan Nan's guidance and calmly walked to the moonlight pond under the attentive looks of the other disciples of the Three Gods sect. Elders of the Three Gods sect couldn't hide their bright eyes, looking at him and the puppet behind him with surprise, whispering to each other. He had disappeared from the endless sea for 1 year. During this time, where did he go? Who knows? At present, the situation of the endless sea is so complicated. Not only the dark dwellers and the demon dwellers want to kill him, Gu Shao and his men also consider him an eyesore and pain in the ass. Before he got strong enough, getting back to the endless sea isn't a wise move. Yeah, this kid has an endless potential. He could become the pillar of our God's sect in the future. He just needs to go out and cultivate until he reaches the God realm. At that time, when he comes back to the endless sea, he can establish a footing without being afraid of the oppressors. Yeah, he came back a little bit earlier than expected. The disciples of the Three Gods sect held surprised faces, discussing quietly. Shi Yin smiled, slowly walking towards Tang Yuan Nan under the attention of the Three Gods sect's disciples. He was going to meet the moon god Ouyang Luoshang officially. The sun, moon, and star gods of the Three Gods sect of this generation had finally met in the sacred land. The moon god had the moonlight meandering around her while the moonlight above enveloped her. Although the distance was close, Shi Yin couldn't see her appearance clearly. He could only feel the immortal, ethereal aura on her body, which gave people a vague but immense sense of aesthetic. Precursor Tang, he clasped his fists to greet Tang Yuan Nan, then shifted his look to Ouyang Luoshang, hesitated for a while before speaking up embarrassedly, Precursor Ouyang Luoshang. Ouyang Luoshang had been sealed for thousands of years in the meteorite in the Sky Meteor City. Talking about age, she was at the monster level. However, during thousands of years in her confinement, she had constantly been taking in the essence of the moonlight, which separated her from the mortal world. Beside him, some elders and disciples of the Three Gods sect were stunned on hearing Tang Yuan Nan's news and then forced to smile, shaking their heads. Apparently, these elders and disciples of the Three Gods sect didn't believe that the news was true. The moon god Ouyang Luoshang was also shocked, looking at him and waiting for him to explain himself. It's true. In front of the attentive eyes of many people, Shi Yin deliberately smiled and nodded his head to confirm. Situ Jie and Zhuo Yufeng are dead. It's true, but I didn't kill them. He pointed at the war devil behind him. He killed them. Ouyang Luoshang, Tang Yuan Nan, and the other elders of the Three Gods sect all showed that they were astounded, but didn't buy it. Shi Yin didn't say more details, just sending a thought to the war devil. Only the truth could be persuasive. Sometimes, words just wouldn't work. After he had sent his thought, the deep, dark pupils of Lao Luo's dark body shot out 2 blood lights. Immediately, an evil, intimidating, earth-destroying aura spread out from him as the center, covering the whole sacred land of the Three Gods sect. Under this earth-destroying aura, all Three Gods sect's disciples felt their mind and soul both shaken, just like a massive mountain was pressing on them. Except for Tang Yuan Nan and Ouyang Luoshang, everybody now felt a pressure that they couldn't even move or breath normally. Some warriors with low cultivation base trembled and fell. They were sweating while feeling all of the powers in their bodies get drained. They looked really distressed. The elders of the Three Gods sect paled as fear sparked in their eyes. Tang Yuan Nan opened his eyes wide, stunningly looking at the war devil. He contemplated for a long while before speaking up, "This surging energy's so strong. I think even the demon kings and Qi Yin could only have this degree of powers." Half a minute later, Ouyang Luoshang, who was covered wholly in the moonlight, nodded with surprise. Seems like the rumors are true. We don't know how this puppet was made, but its power's so terrifying. No wonder why Situjia and Zui Yufeng got killed. Their deaths aren't unjust. Shi Yin curled the corners of his mouth into a smile, sending another thought to make the war devil retreat its subduing aura. The sinister aura and pressure were like a water tide rushing back to the sea, withdrawing into the war devil's body. Within the time of one breath, the terrifying pressure enveloping the whole sacred place of the three gods sect disappeared into thin air as if it had never been there. If there weren't someone with trembling legs and sweating, sitting on the ground, perhaps they would think that the previous pressure was just a hallucination. I want to have some words with Precursor Tang. Shi Yan's look raked around, signaling that there were so many people in the surroundings. Tang Yuannan held a serious face, swaying his hand. Do whatever you need to do. Do not linger here. Elders and disciples of the three gods sect paled on hearing Tang Yuannan's words. They eyed Shi Yin with fear and went away. Waiting until everyone went out of sight, Shi Yin started to present his ideas with a solemn face. At the same time, the divine swordland of Yuanlo Sea, which used to be the ancestral hall of the Gu family, was now the temporary palace of Demon King Qi Yin. The divine sword wasn't in the 10,000 sword peak anymore, but the divine qi there was still pretty dense, which pleased people physically and mentally. On the high summit, Demon King Qi Yin was sitting cross-legged. He was a member of the Black Scale clan, his body majestic with a black scale armor. He was sitting like a high mountain ridge, giving people a feeling that they could only lift their heads up to look at him. Since the corpse soul bridge had been thoroughly connected, he hadn't used the body of Xiao Han Yi. He was now in the endless sea with his own body. At this moment, Qi Yin suddenly opened his eyes, and his pupils sparked with strange beams of light. Such a powerful force. He muttered as his hands cast an odd seal formation. Numerous dots of light radiated from the seal, just like he was letting his soul consciousness run to Yuan Luo Sea. Not long after that, 10 beams of brilliance shot out from his fingers, entering wholly into the seal formation. Inside the seal, a strange, sacred place on the seabed, which was covered with some barrier, appeared and then disappeared. Qi Yan's eyes brightened. He withdrew the seal formation and then frowned. It's the sacred place of the three gods sect. Seems like something strange happened there. Did Ouyang Luoshang demonstrate that formidable strength? No, it's not true. That evil force doesn't go the same way as the cold and clear moonlight on that woman's body. Qi Yin furrowed his brows in contemplation. Swoosh! A foreign lightning shot from afar towards his position. Qi Yan's eyes shot out divine lights while whispering, the soul consciousness spear of Bo Sun. He extended his arm and snatched. A giant hand appeared in the void, seizing that soul consciousness spear. Qi Yin felt it for a while, and then suddenly got up, stepping forward. It was like he had crossed the space. Within only one step, he had left the Divine Sword Island to the location of the three gods sect Sun, Moon, Star Islands. The Snow Dragon Island. Demon King Bo Sun released a flow of soul consciousness, then turned into a dark, gloomy, ghostly light, shooting towards the Sun, Moon, Star Islands. The two great demon kings understood each other well as they didn't beat the drum to summon warriors of the demon tribes and just acted alone. They seemed to spot something, gliding through the space. What's happened? At the foot of the Snow Dragon Mountain, Uro of the White Wing clan watched the ghostly light shoot away. Doubts flooded her charming face. It's been a long time since Master Bo Sun got out from his place. He left without leaving any words. Is something big happening? Dishan of the Black Wing clan kept his cold face while looking at the general direction where Bo Sun disappeared, shaking his head. Don't know. Something strange. Uro knitted her eyebrows. If there were a fight with the enemies out there, he would call us. But he's just left without saying anything. It should be something he found. Is it related to the Three Gods sect? I know they're looking for the sacred land of the Three Gods sect in the sea. Recently, they got some clues. Perhaps they have finally located the correct location? Dishan still shook his head. I don't know. Undersea, the Three Gods sect's sacred place. Suddenly, The three gods' sex barrier that kept the seawater out sparkled with countless dots of light. Moonlight, starlight, and sunlight all shone on it. If something happens to me, the balance of the endless sea will be broken. At that time, the dark dwellers and the demon dwellers will take the upper hand. I think it's not what he wants to see. I don't trust him. Yin contemplated for a while, then flew out to the sea. He told the war devil to get into the water and release its intimidating, earth-destroying aura from there. What are you doing? Tang Yuan Nan was puzzled. When it saw the mysterious giant sword appear, blood light flashed in its dark pupils, revealing a trace of respect. The king of demonic insects, a level 8 beast, and the devouring gold silkworm also flew out, perching on his right and left shoulder respectively. Their small eyes sparkled with vicious light. These series of changes happened in a flash. In just a blink, Yin had fused 3 living beings, hauled out the mysterious giant sword, and summoned the king of demonic insects and the devouring gold silkworm.